Welcome back to Creepcast. Today we're doing something a little new, something that we've been wanting to try for a bit, which is talk about something that pertains to creepypasta that is something very real and very horrifying in real life, but it does connect to the thing that we've covered before, which we are coming up now on the anniversary of the Slenderman stabbing, which is a very, very real thing, and it's a fascinating story, and we have formatted it in a way to where now it's a digestible story to be ingested the same way as a Creepcast episode, but done in a way where we can, shed light on something that's very real and horrifying.
Yes. I would agree. The Slenderman stabbings were on May 31st of 2014. As I'm sure a lot of you know, a very tragic circumstance where a couple young girls became far too invested in internet culture around creepypastas, specifically Slenderman, and became obsessed with the idea that Slenderman was real and they could dedicate themselves as like a proxy to him. And they took out those fantasies on a friend of theirs who we'll get into, but thankfully survived. But it's a very upsetting story. It's a very wild one. Especially some of the details of how the young girl survived are both terrifying and impressive. So
I do want to say,
go ahead.
Yeah, the survivor has to be one of the biggest badasses of all time.
Yeah, we'll get into it, but the way she lived was pretty outstanding. I would have died.
Once again, for people who might not have seen some of the previous episodes that we've done, we did a Creep TV, which was on our show, is basically horror adjacent video content in like horror storytelling content in video form that we like to talk about. And one that Isaiah showed me that was a 3-part video series was the
Marble Hornets.
Oh my God, I said Mandela Catalog. Holy shit.
It's not Mandela Catalog. Yeah.
And the 3-part series that we covered was Marble Hornets from years ago. I mean, actually, let me ask you this. Was Marble Hornets was before these, correct? Because it was pretty close to the original posting of the picture, or of the kind of like the start of the fandom with the first upload of the Slenderman image, right?
So the original Slenderman image was uploaded, and then a week after that, I believe, the first Marble Hornets video was posted. So Marble Hornets, second to the original image, was the first Slenderman adaptation. First thing to give it a narrative. So yes, these came way after that.
To think that the thing that we watched, which granted, Isaiah, completely different time, right? But to think that the thing that we watched may have helped inspire this act, or just like the phenomenon that was Slenderman, which it's obviously, the crimes that were committed were in act. They say that it was in service to Slenderman and stuff, but it was really, I feel like it could have been anything that just struck their fancy.
I mean, it may have contributed to it in like the sense that it popularized Slenderman and that led to this, but as I'm sure we'll talk about, their obsession with Slenderman had a lot to do with like the fandom side of things, with the idea that people can be like servants of him, and that I think they talked a lot about the Slenderman Mansion, which was kind of like the equivalent of like an OC character thing, where like Slenderman takes his followers to a mansion where they all live together and stuff like that. It was very like fandom coded, people making their OCs and like making them interact with characters they like, sort of thing.
The same kind of community that would do Jane the Killer, or like Jeff the Killer offshoots. That they people absorbing media in different ways, and like basically having like that cult like mentality around them is very, very fascinating. So today, bear with us. We're going to do something new. I'm actually pretty excited just to change the format up just a little bit and just read something that is real and extremely horrifying, and has one of the most heroic, dare I say one of the most heroic means of escape and survival of all time. It's pretty phenomenal. But just wanted to say thank you to our patrons and for people listening on audio platforms right now like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much. It does help us out if you give us a nice rating. Isaiah, are you ready to jump in?
Yes, I'm ready to jump in. Thank you. Did you say thank you to the patrons?
I did.
Thank you, patrons. All right. So for the first, I guess, what would we even call this? Was this still a Creepcast or is this like a...
I guess we're calling it Creepcast. I don't know. It's just a little... Yeah, creep crime. Let's do that. Creep crime.
Creep crime. Sure, why not? The Slenderman stabbing. In the suburbs of Milwaukee, just a few miles inland from the mighty Lake Michigan, lies the quiet and affluent town of Waukesha, Wisconsin. For anyone driving through, sprawling parks and home paint the picture of a quintessential American town. Residents knew it as a safe and cozy place to raise a family. A place where you could let your kids play outside until the streetlights came on. Joe and Stacy Leutner owned a traditional single-family home in town and raised their 2 kids, Peyton and Caden. Around Waukesha, the Leutners were well respected. Joe had a steady job, and Stacy was able to stay home and raise the kids. Their 2 children were described as compassionate and well-rounded individuals, and with only a 2-year age gap, the siblings were very close. 12-year-old Peyton, otherwise known as Bella, was just your average little girl with dark brown pigtails and blue eyes. Her younger brother, Caden, was a short blonde and tied together what many would call a picturesque family. Among all her friends was another 12-year-old girl with long brown hair named Morgan Geyser, I'll say Gazer, who was Peyton's best friend. The 2 girls met when they were 9 years old and soon grew close, going to each other's house to play with dolls and draw. When they were young, they were very similar to one another and shared many of the same interests. However, as they grew older, a clear divide emerged between the 2. While Peyton was blossoming into a teen, taking an interest in makeup and boys, Morgan was beginning to show more macabre and concerning behavior. Since she was little, Morgan had experienced weird visual phenomena that only she could see. As a toddler, she would approach her parents and tell them that ghosts would hug and bite her. A psychologist would later reveal
she had vivid dreams when she wished she could change.
These anomalies grew stronger and recurred more often as time went on. In elementary school, she would watch as the colors on the wall melted down to the floor and pulled around her. Not long after that began a woman's voice, which she called Maggie, would regularly talk to her inside her own head. Morgan herself would grow more concerned about the things she was seeing out of the corners of her eye. Another figure named Sev soon manifested from the anime show she watched. Sev was unlike any of the previous visions because Morgan claimed he felt real to the touch. She treated him as though he were a real person, even allowing him to sleep in her bed. While lying together, Morgan would place her hand on his chest and feel his heartbeat. In the morning, she claimed she would wake up with hair wet with Sev's drool.
Just want to say how fucking horrifying that is, by the way.
Well, yeah.
The idea of, just from the, one, I guess to conquer your, I feel like this would be so easily discarded as like, oh, you have imaginary friends, or like, oh, it's just in your head, whatever. People like brushing this kind of stuff to the side, but going to that level of detail and that level of clarity of like, I don't know, like feeling someone's heartbeat, claiming that you're waking up from Sev's drool from sleeping in your same bed. I mean, just living with that day in and day out. My God, that would be fucking rough.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, it's a hard situation to navigate around because, for one, it's hard to understand with the kid how serious something like this is. Like when I was 8, I think I told my mom that I was in love with Raven from Teen Titans, which was fitting, and I was proud of my younger self. But it's like, at what level is it just like a kid who's watching a cartoon, and what level are they actually like have a diagnosable illness? I think the fact that she was being seen by psychologists when she was so young is kind of a indicator of how serious it was.
Yeah. And what has to be with that level of, with that level of what she's saying every day.
Yeah. Saying she's talking to ghosts that bite her and stuff like that. Yeah. And I mean, we'll talk about it more as we get into the details of the case, but that's the reason this stuff was so damaging to her or her worldview, because she was already perceptive to taking outside influence and then making it real in her head. Something that needs to be done, which a lot of people, again, we'll get into it, but a lot of people around this, especially the media, had conversations like, oh, is it okay to talk about Slender? Is this the kind of thing kids should be talking about? And I think it's the same as like the video game argument, where it's like, yeah,
100% is.
It's fine because 99% of people have no issue. But the 99 shouldn't be, restricted because of things that 1% need kept from them, I believe. Because I mean, there were plenty of people that listened to the Slenderman stuff and wrote fan fiction, all that, and didn't stab young girls. So,
Also, so easy to have these conversations in hindsight, Yeah. Or like, it's so easy to talk about these things whenever it's like, well, the horrible thing happened, so let's discuss why versus let's make a blanket statement or a blanket idea that covers everybody versus just like focusing in and trying to figure out why exactly this person had this happen, which we're already starting to see here. I mean, associating an imaginary person and like associating with them as the Sev in the bed and like manifesting those things and having it be something that feels so real. I mean, we're already, even at the age of 8, already starting to get that idea.
Yeah. Her entire life, Morgan knew something was off and would regularly talk to her parents about what she was seeing. But nothing was ever done. Unbeknownst to anyone, Morgan was schizophrenic, just like her father, Matt. When her father was 7 years old, he wandered up to his parents and told them about how he had seen his unborn sister's ghost. His parents thought their child just had a creative imagination and sent him to bed. Years later, when he was in his teens, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia, but stopped taking his medication at 19. His doctors tried to reason with him. However, Matt worried taking his medicine would make the devil in his visions disappear, eliminating one of the only sources of joy he had in life. If anyone was going to catch what was going on with Morgan, it would have been her father, who shared a similar diagnosis and story. Like his own parents, however, Matt ignored the red flags and allowed his daughter's condition to worsen. Other people in Morgan's life, like her school counselors, didn't say anything either when her odd behavior continued at school. She would bark at other students in the playground, and early one morning, she was caught smuggling a rubber mallet into class. She would claim she needed it for protection. Like a fog creeping over her brain, Morgan's schizophrenia began to change her, making her more paranoid. Again, it's like the parents should have known. And I feel like a lot of this fault would fall on Matt, because he became so, it seems he became so at peace with his own delusions that he figured it'd be fine for his daughter to have, which is a very reckless place to leave a child, Oh, sure. Well,
also too, the way that you grew up and the way that those things were, how previously those things were approached to you, and I think totally dictate how you respond to it now.
Yeah.
Like if he's just like, they treated me like shit, so therefore I'm not gonna put my daughter through that hell.
Yeah.
I will say though, the counselors not like at a school, seeing like this girl bring up these problems, bringing in fucking rubber mallets and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know, like fucking Elmer Fudd into class and stuff, trying to like whack Wile E. Coyote. I mean, like, how the fuck do you? I mean, like, how do you not report this to anybody? I like how the counselors are just like, I'm sure it's fine. I am so afraid of my life that I'm going to be like either a parent who just like it completely ignores these red flags, or I'm going to go to like a parent teacher conference and then you'll be like, also, by the way, so your daughter is pretending to be a werewolf and she keeps removing her teeth in the back of the class. And you're like, why am I just hearing about this now? Well, we didn't want to be alive. We didn't think it was that big of a deal. Little kids lose their teeth all the time. I'm like, yeah, well, not by fucking pulling them out of your mouth, you goon.
Well, that's what the mallet's for. About?
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, that was what the rubber mallet was for.
It's I don't know, because some stuff it's like you could see how it would happen. Like the what's I think it's the barking at other students. It's like, yeah, there's weird kids that do that kind of thing.
Oh, dude, it's easy. I mean, all the amount of people that even in the school system, you must see just strange behaving kids all the time that in a way it literally must come off as normal. I mean, dude, I remember, you know how many horse girls were in my grade school classes? You would have thought it was a goddamn stable versus a school. I mean, it was
like acted like horses.
Yeah, dude, horse girls, especially in elementary, which I don't know how prevalent that was. I mean, did you have some horse girls in your school?
I don't think we did. I mean, keep in mind, my middle school class was 6 people, so it was
okay. It was pretty small. I mean,
size,
even if it was, I mean, I didn't have the biggest class either, but I'm just saying that like horse girls were a thing. Even just like, there's just some strange kids. I mean, one of the horse girls, she would eat fucking Pringles and ketchup at lunch, and people were more weirded out by that than the idea that she would like buck and neigh and like hop around the goddamn auditorium. Who knows? I mean, it's, once again, I just want to preface, it's so easy to look at these things in hindsight and be like, oh God, the signs were there. But I mean, God knows the amount of weird shit that you see during the day.
I'm saying this out of love because I care about both of you. But Allison 1,000,000% strikes me as someone who was a horse girl at some point.
You have no idea. You have no idea how bad I feel duped. When I started befriending, when I was just Allison's friend before we even started dating, there was I don't think I ever heard her say the word horse, right? And then all of a sudden we're like 4 or 5 years into our relationship, and she's like, yeah, I don't just started drawing horses a lot. I mean, I felt like I did feel like a guy coming in. I felt like the motherfucker walking in being like, hey, Morgan, what is this? And she's like, it's Slenderman. That's how it felt to me with Allison drawing these horses. And I was like, you've been drawing a lot of horses lately. Kind of thing. And then she came up and she was like, yeah, I think I'm thinking about getting a horse. I'm like, what? And then it was just all, and then from there, she's just dressed like Alan Jackson for the past like 7 years. So,
what was she a horse girl when she was younger?
Dude,
acted like a horse.
I don't know. She's always been a big animal person.
I feel like she 100% might have been. I've seen her videos where she talks about like her furry OC she had when she was a child.
Don't get me wrong. Once again, Isaiah, the hindsight is there, right? I can look back now and be like, oh, it makes sense. Because we used to joke around college and stuff. She's like, yeah, I had to pay my bills and to like help pay some of my bills whenever she was like younger. She would do furry art and stuff, or when she was younger, she was part of the community, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, yeah. Because you're just like, oh, not anymore. Yeah. How foolish I was.
You would say that. I would have caught on to that immediately. But Hunter's like, I mean, that's normal, right? Like people, you're an artist. You draw stuff. Who cares?
Dude, once again, Isaiah, blinded. When you go to a liberal arts college, and I was getting all horned up for Allison, who like was a short-haired crust punk looking kind of like girl.
Punk looking.
I'm like, come on, dude. I'm like, she could have told me anything at that point. I'm like, hey, living La Vida Loca, baby. I was all about it. Also, the amount of other weird shit you see, I'm like, I was like, I will settle for anything. I'm like, give me a furry artist over some of the crazy shit that I'm seeing. You know what I mean? But no, I didn't know. I think my perception would have been totally different if she's like, by the way, I'm a horse girl.
If you drilled her on it, I guarantee you she like would buck a neigh when she was like 9 years old.
Dude, I bet. I don't know. I'm just saying those people exist, and I'm saying that once again, we can dog the counselors all day, and I want to, but it's the amount of stuff you see must be crazy. And I don't know. At what point does something, unless something like it's you know what it is though too. What's kind of fucked up is it seems like it's one of those things until something horrible happens. No one does anything, right? Well, I mean, I don't know. She has a rubber mallet because she says she's whacking invisible whack-a-moles at her desk, and you're like, well, you probably should have told me about that. Well, she wasn't hurt anybody, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah. I just figured, good to let off some steam.
And she's sitting at her desk playing that remember that Chuck E. Cheese game where it was like you hit the spiders, like the bug splat thing, the things light up. Yeah, she was doing that at her desk, and we thought it was fun. We like Chuck E. Cheese games too. I don't know.
It's where a kid can be a kid.
A kid can be a kid. And I will say, just to in this
voice.
Yeah, a kid can be a kid. But I will say, you know what was the best Chuck E. Cheese game?
What?
And I'm not even joking. I've looked for this for my studio. I've looked for it. It's that fucking pirate ship game. You control the pirate ship. It's a 2D pirate game, and you it's like a driving game where you have like the pirate steering wheel. Do you remember? You're probably too young. Do you remember this or no?
No. The only one I remember being real hyped at Chuck E. Cheese was the Jurassic Park one with the giant spiders, like the shooting game.
Dude. Is that the one where you get to sit in?
Yeah, you sit in like the actual cab and
so
shoot
sick.
at them. Yeah.
Dude, the pirate ship game, I can't even fucking tell you. It's my fucking jam. It was called Dead Storm Pirates. And let me tell you, it was just
Dead Storm Pirates.
Oh, no. Hold on a second. Sorry, this is actually desperately important.
People are going to see the title of this episode. They're going to be like, how are they going to get on side tangents with this topic? It's like, oh, you wait. Many thought that the school counselors would have intervened by now, but it was more complicated than that. Both the school staff and her parents believed she was just acting out and being a quirky teen. Part of the problem was that the school she attended had over 680 students with only 2 counselors to manage them. Morgan just happened to be one of the many children neglected by the system in which she was raised. For a long time, Morgan's only real friend was Peyton, but as they began to drift apart, she met someone new who would change the course of her life forever. During middle school, Morgan met another girl named Anissa Weir, who lived near the Geyser home. From an early age, Anissa had a normal childhood, but she was allegedly born with an undiagnosed severe learning disability that ostracized her from people her age. While her life had once been stable, it took a dark turn when her parents went through a bitter divorce. When her parents split, it affected Anissa's social life even more. What was once a normal kid soon devolved into a lonely, desperate little girl seeking approval from anyone in her life. With her parents focused on the divorce, her needs were sometimes overlooked, and she began to feel pushed aside. When she met Morgan, it felt like a beacon in the darkness, and she clung to her new friend. Anything her new friend wanted to do, she would do it, as long as she could keep clutching onto this single connection. Both girls had gone to school together, but were never close until Morgan's behavior began to change, isolating her from her classmates. Since she couldn't rely on Peyton as much anymore, Anissa filled in the gap that her old friend couldn't. As the two grew closer, they would spend hours online together, watching videos and visiting random websites. While surfing the net, they stumbled upon a forum called creepypasta.com. At the time, creepy copypastas or creepypastas were at their peak in the online zeitgeist. Stories like Jeff the Killer, Sonic.exe, and Ben Drowned had grown immensely popular and spawned a new generation of writers shaped by internet culture. During their time on the forum, Anissa and Morgan read countless stories, but none interested them more than Slenderman. I will say that reading that was like a series of flashbacks.
Like, yeah, for especially for us. It's also
Jeff the Killer, Sonic.exe, Ben Drowned. yes.
It's so interesting too, just once again, how these times of people, whenever it's like the finding community online versus in schools is such a huge thing that also people had no idea about yet. It was still so new. So even something when you're like, wait, what the fuck? I mean, how many times did you show your mom or dad something and they're like, what? Because it's just such a foreign concept. The idea that it's like, yeah, I'm online and it's this community and we're reading about this thing called Jeff the Killer. It's like an online horror story. And you're like, okay, and not understanding that like there's a community and a fandom around like this kind of character or, you know, these kinds of subcultures. That movie, what is it? We're all going to the World's Fair or whatever. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it. I don't know what you're talking about.
That is a great movie that kind of captures the isolated feeling and like the isolated feeling of.
Oh wait, no, I did watch
somebody.
it. Yeah, the whole thing's the little girl holding the camera.
Yeah, just in her room from the camera perspective from her computer.
Yeah,
but it's a great study on like escaping and believing in something from the internet and like social isolation. It's just like. It's so interesting how all these kids who are probably bullied in school or were misunderstood in these schools really did flock to these online circles in droves and found their community there. And I think that's also what helped just like breed these obsessive traits when people were just like, well, I don't need the fucking people in real life because they suck. Like this is my new home. You know what I mean? And now more than ever, I would say generally a lot of social groups, not all of them, but I would say generally it is like a much heavier, like it's a much like larger sect of people that are associating generally online versus like in in-person relationships and stuff that you might find even via friendships and stuff. It's crazy how probably that's like, I can't even imagine like fucking like quadrupled. I mean, like, or it's just doubled down in how people approach their conversations now that like what was weird back then is now completely normalized.
Yeah. It's interesting how the shift has been. I remember one time, I was in the car with my dad and I wanted my dad to be interested in things I was interested in. So I played the Russian sleep experiment because I really liked it. And he was just so disinterested.
Did he believe at all that it was a real story? Was
he barely listened to it. He's like, what? They're like mad or something. He just did not care.
Mad or something. Yeah. No, Daddy, listen. He's not sleeping. He's afraid.
I remember doing that thing when like, when you like go to show someone something on your phone and they're not paying attention. So you just kind of slowly like pull the phone away and like,
yeah.
Like see if they care that you're moving it away. That's what I did, but by pausing the video.
It's a thing that you can definitely tell. I'm pretty sure my dad hated me when I was younger. Like it just, these things become more and more blanket. Like it becomes more and more obvious when you like go through it and you do try to show them something, and you're like, your parent is just like because it's so easy to do to a child. Lie, right?
Yeah,
that's really cool. Isaiah.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's all it had to be, right? I was playing Banjo-Kazooie on the Nintendo 64, and my dad was like, "So what? The bear can talk?" And I was like, "Not really. It's just him and his friend. He has a bird in his backpack." And he just said, "What the hell do you do with your time?" I'm a child. Like, what are you talking about? What do you do with your time? It's Banjo-Kazooie, Dad. Come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? What kind of response is that? What do you do with your time? Well, sorry. I guess I should be at the mine right now working, shouldn't I?
Yeah, what do you do with your time? It's a crazy thing to say to a child.
To a kid who's like, hey, can I show you Banjo-Kazooie? What do you do with your time? Is such a fucking hot take.
What do you do with your time? That's nothing worth remembering, I guess.
The only game that my dad ever responded to when I was younger was he was like one of those gay guys that liked Harleys and shit and like loud bikes and stuff. And I was playing Road Rash. Mm-hmm. And he was like, that bike is nice. This is like PlayStation 1 graphics. He was like, fucking nice bike. I'm like whipping a guy with a chain as we're racing down this road. He's like, that's a fucking killer bike.
That's the coolest bike I've ever seen.
Holy shit. It is so cool.
I want to thank today's sponsor, Warby Parker. Buying glasses shouldn't feel complicated. Oftentimes, it's hard to tell if you're being charged a fair price or if the glasses are even going to fit your face. That's where Warby Parker is here to help. Nothing comes close to Warby Parker's quality, price, selection, and customer service. They have 300 retail stores across the United States with durable and stylish eyewear. And a quick trip to their website can show you how easy they've made the glasses buying process. Their virtual try-on feature lets you try before you buy right from your phone. And you can try on tons of frames on your face in real time, letting you feel good about the choice you make. And they have a ton of options, like you can get prescription, non-prescription, progressive, and even reader lenses. So ditch your old, unreliable glasses and get a pair from Warby Parker. Their prescription glasses start at $95, allowing you to look stylish at an affordable price. And Warby Parker is covered by most major eye insurance plans. Plus, they've distributed over 20 million pairs of glasses through their Buy a Pair, Give a Pair program. Warby Parker gives you quality, better-looking prescription glasses at a fraction of the price. And right now is the perfect time to get on board. That's because if you head to the link in the description at warbyparker.com/creepcast, you'll be able to buy one prescription pair and get 20% off any additional prescription. That's right, buy one, get one 20% off. Again, that's at the link in the description at warbyparker.com/creepcast to get in on their offer today. Thank you to Warby Parker for sponsoring the show. Their link will be in the description, and we are now back to the episode. I want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Chubbies. The weather's getting warmer, so it's time to get those legs out, get those cool shirts on, and maybe even go for a swim, which means it's the perfect time to get a pair of Chubbies. I love that we're partnered with Chubbies because before the sponsorship, I had a pair and it was my favorite pair of shorts. So now that we do these, I get them for free, which is perfect because as far as summer shorts go, they can't be beat. The waistband on Chubbies is elastic so you can wear it without a belt, but it also has belt loops that make it perfect for formal or casual occasions. The fit's incredibly relaxed as well, so you can be comfortable regardless of the occasion. Plus, they sent me one of their knitted shirts, and I don't think I have a shirt that breathes as well as this one. Not only do they look nice, but you can feel the air passing through as you're wearing it, making it perfect for trips on the lake or by the beach. Plus, their trunks, which of course I got in the stylish Hawaiian print, are supportive, comfortable, and designed to prevent chafing. Plus, they quick dry, so after you spend a day at the beach, you can go out to a restaurant or back to the room and not feel like you're getting everything wet. Plus, the 4-way stretch fabric makes it just as comfortable swimming laps as setting down for dinner. That's why Chubbies is celebrating 15 years with the same iconic fit and the same comfortable, stylish design. With over 2.6 million customers, Chubbies clearly knows how to keep your thighs happy and the vibes up. And if you want to get in on Chubbies, then now's the perfect time, because our listeners can head to the link in the description at chubbyshorts.com and use code Creepcast to get 20% off your order. That's right, 20% off again when you use code Creepcast at chubbyshorts.com at the link in the description below. And if you could let them know that we sent you at checkout, it would really mean a lot. I can't recommend them enough. Thank you to Chubbies for sponsoring the show. Their link will be in the description, and we are now back to the episode.
Known as one of the original creepypastas, Slenderman was created by Eric Knudsen, aka Victor Surge Online. He submitted a picture of a tall, pale creature wearing a suit with tentacles to a Photoshop contest on the Something Awful forums. From there, internet users would take the haunted creature and begin to write stories and fake sightings. This cult classic grabbed both girls' attention and soon became their entire world. Creepypastas acted as the glue that held their friendship together but tore others apart. Peyton and Morgan would occasionally hang out, during which Morgan was more vocal about her visions. Peyton would play along, telling Morgan she saw them too. Hoping to rekindle their relationship, Morgan began to show Peyton some of the things she was reading online, assuming that her old friend would bond with her over them as she and Anissa did. However, Peyton was disturbed by what she was being shown and eventually told Morgan she didn't want to hang out anymore if they would only talk about creepypastas. Though Morgan was upset by this, she still valued their friendship and respected her wishes. As their friendship dwindled, Anissa grew closer to Morgan as the two consumed more content online.
Insane that Peyton's mental clarity was that sharp at that age. Hey, if you guys are only going to talk about creepypastas, I don't think I should hang out with you anymore. You know what I mean? We got to tell that to some of our fans, dude. The way that they talk, the way they're talking in the subreddit and shit.
I mean, like, to be fair, it is our job.
No, I know. Trust me. You're talking to you're hearing this from a guy who it is his job.
Yeah, you
know what I mean. I love the idea of Peyton just being like, "Hey, so if you guys are just going to be talking about Slenderman again for 12 hours, I don't really want to hang out." Because if it was me, I'd just be like, "Well, I guess this is as good as it gets." You know what I mean?
This is the high rope right here.
I guess this is pretty much my friends forever now.
I remember one time, so like I showed my dad that, and there were times where like I remember playing the Goat Man at a sleepover, and like a couple of the guys thought it was scary and stuff like that.
And so you're saying when you're saying playing this, you're just talking about these are online readings.
I'm just playing the videos. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I remember that, guys, for Jeff. I remember one time it was like a mixed party or something like that, like guys and girls. And I remember I played Jeff the Killer because I thought it was scary. And I remember the girls being like, "What is wrong with you?" Which in hindsight, how strange for a guy or like a boy to pull out an iPad and play the Jeff the Killer creepypasta to a room of people.
Dude, a young no-haired Isaiah pulling out a Gen 1 iPad. I like to think that you're wearing the size of shirt and like the crucifix is just as big as your body around your neck, and you guys are like, you want to hear a scary story? Lips fat as shit, flapping around. You're like, God damn, dude. Here's a towel, wipe your lips. You're like, sorry, I just get excited for these stories.
I just remember playing it, and then someone being like, one of the girls being like, so is this like scary? And I'm like, yeah, the picture's really scary. When you think about the story with the picture, it's really creepy.
You know what though? I'll give you this. I'll give your younger self this. At least for the times you showed your dad and around friends, at least it was the reading. How many people do you think dry read this shit to people? Probably so many.
Oh, that's rough.
That would be that would be way worse.
I mean, what I did was also brutal, but there is a layer. There is a layer.
Yeah, I will say you have to have at least some layer of respect for yourself there.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. To the girls, more specifically Morgan, the lives and actions described in these online stories began to influence how they thought and behaved in real life. By this point, the girls had been playing the Slenderman game and knew every little detail. Morgan's obsession with the character would begin to manifest in her diary. Across multiple pages, scrawled in black ink, were drawings of Slenderman along with recreations of pages from the game. Her drawings also contained more ghastly images. In addition to the slender pictures, she often drew pictures of a girl, most likely representing herself in different scenarios. On one page, she drew a girl with cat ears and a tail lying on the ground, her eyes closed. Floating above her was a skull and another young girl holding a scythe while looking at the viewer saying, "I love killing people." So again, the stuff like the cat ears and the cat tail and stuff like that's indicative of just like, you know, that young culture around the time. But obviously all of these things are playing into her fantasies. And if it wasn't for where the story goes, it would just be another cringe kid, right?
Well, that's the thing is these are, once again, it's the online realms and forums that these kids are existing in, and like the online communities where, you know, you are getting the more centric, like furry, different forums where people are like, oh, let me show you my art, and people are able to express themselves. And I feel like that is just rubbing off, and it's starting to formulate in just this kid's, just, I mean, how they're fucking writing down their diary now. You know, I mean, it's just the online, where they're hanging out, you know?
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, if it wasn't for this one thing, it would have just been a normal, like, kids experience online back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At some point, using black ink wasn't enough. Classmates and teachers reported Morgan picked at a scab until it bled, later using the blood to write "die" over and over again in her diary.
Okay, all right.
Well, normal kid experience. There we go.
All right. Let's. I'm not gonna advocate for any scab pickers who are also using that scab blood to write "die" over and over again. I don't give a fuck I don't give a fuck what realms of the internet you're lurking. The scab bit is that's where you lose me. You lose me at the scabs. Okay.
Yeah.
Picking scabs. My God. You think she ate the scabs?
Maybe she used them like a paintbrush to draw on the paper.
Yeah. What kind of animal hair is that? She's like, pig.
Huh? Back home, she was taking her dolls and drawing occult symbols on their abdomens, cutting off their heads, and etching marks on their hands and thighs. Well, there you go. For many people, their diaries are a gateway to their innermost thoughts, and Morgan was no exception. In a way, marking these dolls and drawing in her diary served as a way for her to act out in silence. Her behavior and outbursts at school and around her parents elicited little more than disgust and annoyance. With little attention in her real life, Morgan would retreat into her drawings and imagination, places where she could make herself the focus of any world she created. Perhaps the most concerning drawing found was one depicting Slenderman standing over a line of children, talking directly to the viewer, saying,
"You're a strange child. It will be of my use."
Yeah, so now she is filling in the dialogue for her imagined, for her apparition. So it's another layer into the delusion. In a time of desperation, her inner monologue spoke directly to her, comforting her with one of the few things that brought her joy. Eventually, she began to experience those thoughts as something outside of her own mind, similar to her other visions. For years prior to even learning about Slenderman, Morgan claimed to have seen an entity called It. She described It as a misty, shadowy figure that haunted her and was only visible in the mirror. Anytime she peered into the reflective glass, she would see it standing from afar and watching her. Because she had bonded with Anissa over creepypastas, she felt comfortable enough to describe her visions, knowing that her friend wouldn't think she was crazy. Morgan had told Anissa she thought she was going insane seeing all these visions, but Anissa supported her by saying,
"No, I think you're a medium. I think that you straddle two worlds."
For the first time in her entire life, someone genuinely validated her feelings.
I was going to say, the first time that someone's ever actually, if someone's ever told you about the medical thing, like if you were schizophrenic, Isaiah, and people told you like, "Oh, your brain's out of whack," and people are continuously telling you these things, or you should be on this medication, and maybe this is the first time ever that someone's ever been like, "Actually, you're not weird at all. You have a gift." Yeah. I mean, how relieving would that have been?
Yeah, and that's also why it's so dangerous.
Of course. Yeah,
because they'll grasp on to anyone that validates the things they're seeing as real. Also, it's terrifying that aside from her regular like Slenderman and stuff like that makes sense because she sees these things, so she imagines these things. But to have a new creature that appears as a shadowy figure that can only be seen in the mirror, like something original,
I mean, dude,
quote unquote, man,
I cannot fathom like schizophrenic symptoms. Must be so fucking horrifying. It's gotta, I mean, it must feel, I mean, like, can you imagine that feeling? And it feels like it's a part of this world, and then it just disappears, and like everyone else is just like, "Oh no, it's not there." Yeah, I mean, that would the mental toll that would take is I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah, I follow some people online who are schizophrenic, and they talk a lot about the condition, and some of the stuff they'll say, man, it takes strength to live with.
Are these
and
people?
There's probably some viewers who listen to this show who are in a similar case, and I know it varies.
I would assume
the severity of it, but I see so many of these people talk about, they'll be in their house and someone will walk in and they'll be speaking to them only to look in a camera or mirror and realize that person's not there. Or like they'll one of them was talking about they have a dog, and if the dog doesn't address the person, then they know the person's not there.
That's interesting. Do you think that's like a medical, like, do you think people use that as like a support animal?
Yes. Yeah.
That way they can like,
that's what he was describing, that he keeps the dog and takes it everywhere. That way, if someone comes up and speaks to him, he looks at the dog to see if the dog is looking at them. And if they're not, then it's just an imagination.
Yeah. I mean, smart.
Yeah.
So are these, the pages that you're looking at, these are actually like just schizophrenic people talking about like,
especially on TikTok,
bring more light
there's a ton of people who have schizophrenia who talk about what's like day to day. Some are just auditory, some are visual and auditory. Some of them will kind of describe what it's like, or like a bunch of them will record while they know they're having a schizophrenic episode and be like, "I can see someone, they're standing right there, they're trying to get my attention, blah, blah, blah." It's
the amount of, I mean, that's one form of mental illness that's like, I think very misunderstood online. The amount of people that will look at like man, especially Instagram or something. There's just people having full on schizophrenic episodes, and they upload stuff to Instagram, only for people to be like, what the fuck is going on? Or people just will like fuck with you in the comments and be like, it's real. Yeah, dude, he's there. You got to watch out. I mean, like it's such a fucking crazy system.
Well, it's like there's a lot. Schizophrenia is a very wide spectrum, but there's people who have like visual and auditory hallucinations. There's people who have hallucinations of reality. There's people who have kind of breaks with it where they will have hallucinations about themselves or their person. And then there's like, it used to be schizophrenia was diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenia, but now they realize there's more of a distinction between paranoid type personalities and schizophrenia. But there are people who have paranoid type with schizophrenia where they're constantly worried of others or of something coming to get them and things like that. Like it's such a varied illness. There's so much, which I do sympathize with people like Morgan's parents, you know, who saw their child going through this, and that's got to be tough to handle. But at some point, like, you know, the father, it's like, yes, you can sympathize with, he was in Morgan's same condition and he has to put up with it. But at one point you become the parent who's now responsible for the next generation.
Yeah. I mean, you got, yeah. And especially if you have firsthand experience with it too, you need to know
and assuming he was mentally sound enough to do things like hold down a job and raise a daughter and things like that, then I would assume he would be sound enough to know there's got to be parameters somewhere. But this is coming from the guy that said that he didn't want to take medication because he liked the demon he saw. So,
yeah, I mean, which is like, let's step back and just,
which is a danger. It's a dangerous mentality to bring a child into, of course.
Yeah, it's time to put on your adult pants and actually be like, what's the best way to prop my daughter up for a happy, more normalized future than what I had, right?
Yeah, at one point, the sympathy only goes so far, right? At one point, someone else is suffering because of it. And as this story ends, someone really suffered because of it. So
no shit.
For the first time in her entire life, someone genuinely validated her feelings. Her whole life, she had been dismissed and ignored. Now she had someone who related to her on a deeper level and who she could truly confide in and trust. Her friendship with Anissa not only made her more confident, it began feeding into delusions that she was special. Slowly, she began to believe her visions were not a curse, but a gift. Not long after confiding in Anissa about her visions, she began to believe that the figure she called it was actually Slenderman. The made-up monster had now become so deeply ingrained in her life that it began infiltrating some of her earliest memories. While hanging out with Anissa, Morgan claimed that when she was 5, she saw Slenderman peeking out from the woods near her childhood home. Anissa, buying into the delusions, added that she had been seeing the fictional creature in the woods while riding home on the school bus. Because they had spent so much time online obsessing over the creepypasta, they knew all of his tells, all of his lore, and what it meant when you saw the Slenderman. Fear began to creep into the girls' minds as they continued telling each other what they believed they had seen. It wasn't just their own lives they were afraid for, but their families as well. On a cold winter day, both Morgan and Anissa were hanging out when Morgan came up with a plan to save their families by stating,
"Hey, we should be proxies."
Within the Slenderman lore, proxies are people who believe Slenderman is real and are subservient to him, either through direct possession or his influence. Proxies carry out tasks Slenderman cannot do on his own, such as destroying or leaving evidence, influencing victims, or even creating videos. In exchange for their work, some proxies are granted protection by Slenderman himself, which is what Morgan hoped to achieve. Which again, this is, there's a delusion and then you fear the delusion, so you do things to prevent the delusion. Also, the thing about the proxies comes from like mostly the OC stuff. I think I said incorrectly during the Marble Hornets that they were all proxies. And while it's the same mechanism, the word proxy came later from like other Slenderman lore stuff. But yeah, the idea that you can like become his henchman, basically.
Yeah, people just taking ideas from the fandom and making it their own and stuff. I mean, yeah, I still think that like proxies is it may not be the correct word, but that's basically what that was.
Yeah, same idea.
But what's interesting though about that too is Anissa basically going on and saying that she too has seen it. Almost like at this point, do you think Anissa is like is thinking that Morgan is not necessarily lying, but do you think that they're just, it's like taking the role play into this real world, like taking the role play into the real world where now she also feels like she wants to participate in it as well? Or do you think that she's like legitimately saying that she also has visions?
You're talking about Anissa?
Yeah, Anissa, because Morgan is saying that
I don't think Anissa's having visions. I think she's just a girl with a learning disability who's going along with what her friend says.
Yeah, so her friend is basically being like, also, by the way, I saw Slenderman, and she's like, oh yeah, me too, because she just wants, they had that camaraderie together.
Yeah, she has a friend for the first time.
Right, of course. Yeah.
At the time, Anissa didn't understand what that meant and asked,
okay, how do we do that?
To which Morgan responded,
we have to kill Bella.
Shock swept over Anissa as she couldn't believe what she was hearing. Soon, her shock returned to excitement, though she was still a little unsure. To get her to go along, Morgan began pressuring her by reminding her of Slenderman's power and that her family's lives were at stake. Anissa eventually agreed after being psychologically coerced and began scheming with Morgan on how they would commit the crime. But fear was not the only motivator. Girls were also eager to meet Slenderman in real life and wanted to prove his existence. For almost a year, they had become engrossed in an online community that told stories about a creature living in the woods and haunting people's dreams. Believing Slenderman was real due to their supposed sightings, the girls thought that if they successfully carried out their plan to kill Peyton, he would allow them to live with him as proxies. They believed he resided in the woods of the Chequamegon-Nicolet National Forest, roughly 200 miles north of Waukesha, and that reaching him would grant them a permanent place in his mansion. Most people on the creepypasta forums knew the stories were fake, but the girls took offense at those who said Slenderman was not real. They decided they needed to prove the people on the forums wrong to gain notoriety online and protect their families. Yeah, that was another thing. There was this Slenderman mansion kind of like OC thing where people would write themselves into the mansion, and like Jeff the Killer lived there and Eyeless Jack and all the famous creepypastas. So it was like, oh, well, here's my character in Slenderman Mansion, like the Jane the Killer kind of stuff.
For a person like Morgan, it's like having something where now you are having these episodes and you're seeing Slenderman actually visit you. It has now become to where it has now became a thing where everything you're reading about it is real, right? There is those lines would begin to blur. Right?
Yeah, well, everything becomes a part
you.
of the delusion. Yeah.
Well, absolutely. Well, this one thing is visiting me every day. Yeah. Why is this not real? And then for people to joke around about it, now it's becoming a thing where you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Though Anissa was apprehensive at first, she later admitted to being excited about the prospect of killing someone for Slenderman. This was despite being fully aware they were going to actually go through with the murder of someone she knew.
I was surprised, but also kind of excited because I wanted proof that he existed. Because there are a bunch of skeptics out there saying that he didn't exist, and there are a bunch of photos online and sources online saying that they did see him, so I decided to go along. To tag along, to prove skeptics wrong.
With their end goals in mind, the girls began plotting how they would commit the crime months in advance. Still caring for their shared best friend, they wanted the killing to be painless and preferred that Peyton be asleep or unconscious when it happened so they didn't have to look her in the eyes. The attack was set for Morgan's 12th birthday. She would invite both Anissa and Peyton over to her house for a sleepover and would go forth with their plans from there. The first idea they came up with to sacrifice their friend was to duct tape her mouth to keep her from screaming and stab her in the neck before running out into the night at around 2 a.m. Such brutal,
unreal,
horrific things for a child, a 12-year-old, to be planning for their birthday party, you know? Man.
Do you think that some of these, do you think that the idea, I'm wondering, well, a couple things I'm wondering. One, it has to be in the lore somewhere that people were sacrificed, or is it just from like the games and stuff where it's like Slenderman picks up people trying to find him, so therefore that would have,
it's not from the games or anything like that. It's just kind of, I mean, but there were hundreds of creepypasta stories, right?
So it's just any of the media that where people probably wrote that like you had to offer a sacrifice or something.
Someone wrote something about sacrificing a Slender, and that was enough for this to roll with. Because all the mainline stuff, he's just kind of like a figure that's a lurker or stalks you or something like that. But I mean, maybe someone did write a story where he just said people should sacrifice children to him. And that's all it took for, the mind to run wild.
Right.
In the weeks leading up to the murder, the girls would constantly discuss their plans in school or when they hung out. To avoid any suspicion, they began using code words to hide some of the grotesque details. Crackers were used for the knife they were going to use, and itch was used to refer to the killing itself. They also gave each other nicknames, with Morgan being Kitty and Anissa being Scorpio. Morgan, again, it's tragic how these are like things a 12-year-old girl would do, but it's around killing someone.
Well, just the level of delusion.
Yeah.
It's just so horrifying. The people, the amount of people too that probably have these conversations and don't go through with it is also probably fucking frightening. That's kind of what I'm thinking about, is the amount of people that are upset or translating these thoughts into possible actions, and maybe it just never comes to fruition, or the amount that do end up happening. It's just crazy.
Morgan believed that these personas would help them be better proxies. She planned to draw whiskers on her face and have a signature catchphrase.
Don't be afraid. I'm only a little kitty cat.
With each discussion, Morgan grew more obsessed and repeatedly searched up how to get away with murder and what kind of insane am I on her personal computer. As the day approached, the thought of murder was no longer something out of reach and was slowly becoming a reality. Morgan would send out the invites 1 month before her birthday on May 30th. The night before the sleepover, both girls packed backpacks with granola bars, water bottles, and clothes in preparation for the long trek to the national forest where Slenderman lived. The next day, Peyton was overjoyed and excited to go hang out with her friends. She had packed her overnight bag with pajamas and her favorite American Girl doll before her mother dropped her off at the Gazer home. After all the guests arrived, the girls headed over to the local indoor skating rink, Skateland, and had a great time before heading back to Morgan's house for the sleepover. As 2 a.m. approached, the girls woke up and mulled over whether they would go through with their plan. Sitting in the dark, the girls discussed how to start until Morgan said she thought the plan would fail since hiding the body would be impossible. So they scrapped their initial plan, saying they wanted to give Peyton 1 more day. Before heading to bed, Morgan and Anissa agreed to go with their backup plan to take Peyton to a public park. The plan was to knock her out and murder her in the bathroom stall so her blood would go down the floor drains. The next morning, the girls woke up as normal and went about their day. They ate strawberries and donuts for breakfast and played dress up while messing around with Silly Putty. Payne's mother was expecting her to call around 10:30 a.m., so the girls knew they were running out of time to save their families. They finished playing and went up to Morgan's mother, Angie, to ask if they could go to David's Park, which was near the home and filled with dense woods. Morgan's mother said yes, and the girls all walked down to the park, taking the next step in their plan. Again, these things are it's heartbreaking how childish they are between like the American Girl doll and like, oh, well, if we kill them in the bathroom, all the blood will go down the drain. Like that's how they think it works. Yeah, it's miserable.
Having this conversation around Peyton while she's sleeping, of being like, no, like, to imagine that you're sleeping at your friend's house and they're plotting to kill you is, I mean, I can't, just can't even wrap my head around that, I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, no joke. Before leaving the Geyser home, Morgan grabbed a 5-inch long kitchen knife and slipped it in her waistband. Seemingly unable to contain her excitement, Morgan would lift her jacket and show Anissa the knife on the way to the park while they walked with Peyton. Once they arrived at the destination, the girls played for a bit before Morgan and Anissa led Peyton toward the public bathroom and persuaded her to go inside with them. Unsure of why her friends were so adamant about going into the bathroom, Peyton hesitated but eventually headed inside. The loud metal doors slammed behind the trio as they all stood in the entryway. As Morgan looked around the concrete bathroom where the attack was supposed to happen, panic began setting in. Seeing her accomplice dressed, Anissa asked Peyton if she could step out for a little while so she could talk to Morgan privately. When Peyton was outside, Morgan handed the knife to Anissa and said,
I can't do this. I'm too scared. You have to.
Anissa began to feel the pressure of the situation as well, hugged her friend, and petted her like a cat to calm her down. Minutes later, Anissa brought Peyton back in and sat down with her against the wall while Morgan nervously hovered around the sinks. This is when Anissa initiated their plan and asked if Peyton could put herself to sleep. Peyton replied,
"No, I'm not tired."
Morgan then beckoned Anissa over and asked if she could knock Peyton out so they could get on with the murder. Anissa agreed and sat back down next to Peyton. Anissa described the next moment, saying,
So I asked Bella if she could put herself to sleep. I kind of went like that to her forehead, banged her up against the concrete wall.
Peyton reacted defensively and pushed Anissa's hand away as she said,
"Excuse me."
Feeling awkward, Anissa replied,
"Sorry, I got bored and I need something to do with my hands."
I think too that Peyton is maybe Bella was like her nickname or something.
Yeah, maybe.
In that case, who knows?
Oh God, my word. It's one of those. I mean, yeah. My God. Even in the moment, being like, I can't do this, and handing it off to someone else, and like it's just the level of delusion there. Is, I mean, and also, I mean, just manipulation too of like this other child, right? Being coerced into doing this thing is just wild.
Yeah. It's so like the again, there's something tragically pathetic about how bad they are at it. Like she kind of softly hits her head on the wall and Peyton's like, "Why are you doing that?" And she's like, "Oh, I got bored." It's like she hasn't even thought of what to do here. Like, yeah, just the childness of it is very tragic.
It's crazy to me that this situation too, which don't get me wrong, they're obviously so far gone, but it's like there's still this level of humanity of like trying to hold them back from doing this action. You know, like, oh, I don't like, they're fighting this urge to do this thing, but yet they still are able to like push past that initial gut reaction and follow through with it. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. The girls did not have the confidence to kill Peyton in the bathroom, so they moved on to their final plan, luring Peyton into the woods. Since they were already at the park, they asked Peyton if she'd like to play a game of hide and seek. She agreed, and all three girls exited the bathroom and made their way towards the nearby tree line. Morgan and Anissa chose these nearby woods, hoping they could coax Peyton deeper into the woods so they could commit the crime. As they walked deeper in, they told Peyton to go hide, and both Morgan and Anissa would seek. Anissa described the moment, saying,
"She's going to hide one place, I was going to hide another, and then Morgan and I were going to be like a lioness chasing down a zebra."
Likening the murder to an act of nature, unsuspecting prey about to be slaughtered by a predator for the sake of their family's survival. As Peyton ran off to find a hiding spot, the girls met up once again and began to exchange the knife back and forth, unsure of who was going to do the killing. Morgan approached Anissa and began panicking as an unwillingness took over. Anissa said she had to reassure her friend once again, saying,
Morgan hands me the knife and says, "I can't do it. You know where all the soft spots are." Ugh.
Yeah. Anissa hands Morgan the knife again and states,
"You do it. Go ballistic. Go crazy. Make sure she's down."
Morgan replied,
"I'm not doing it until you tell me to."
The girls parted ways and began to circle around where Peyton was hiding. When Morgan was 5 feet away, Anissa yelled,
"Now!"
Morgan and Anissa pounced onto Peyton, pushing her to the ground and restraining her arms and legs. While fighting against her friend, Morgan muttered her catchphrase,
"Don't be afraid. I'm only a little kitty cat,"
and pulled out the kitchen knife. Scared by what was going on, Peyton began to freak out as her friend stared down at her and brandished the large blade. As Morgan raised the weapon, she got close to Peyton and whispered in her ear,
"I'm so sorry,"
before plunging the blade deep into Peyton's body. Time seemed to slow down as Morgan repeatedly stabbed her best friend, someone she knew for most of her life, someone she loved. Peyton's abdomen and chest would be punctured repeatedly with such force that it caused blood to splatter over both Morgan and Anissa's clothing, as well as the nearby trees. Peyton's screams of agony,
"I hate you. I trusted you. I can't see,"
echoed out into the air as Anissa stood by and watched, egging on her best friend to continue the bloodbath. When all was said and done, Peyton had been stabbed 19 times. Her diaphragm had been repeatedly punctured, causing extreme internal bleeding and severe damage to her stomach and liver.
My God.
Believing she was dead, Morgan stood up, put the knife in her bag, and began getting ready for the trek to Slenderman's mansion. Peyton lay on the ground, clinging to life as her Love, Hope, Smile, Beautiful Dream t-shirt and yellow jeans soon grew soaked with her own blood. Thinking they had successfully sacrificed their friend, the girls began to walk away when Peyton showed signs of life. Her breaths were incredibly shallow, and it was hard to speak, but she had miraculously survived the attack. Slowly but surely, she managed to pull herself up to her feet and stumble around before securing herself on a tree. Her limbs were weak from the blood loss, causing her to wobble faintly from tree to tree in a desperate attempt to save herself. Unsure of what to do, both Anissa and Morgan ran back over and urged their friend to lie down while they ran off to get help. Girls never intended to help and made their way out of the woods. The knife, still dripping with blood, was stashed in Morgan's bag as she began to dab Peyton's stab wounds using a leaf on the ground. Realizing they needed to flee the area, both girls walked to a nearby Walmart to clean themselves. Inside the bathroom, the girls splashed water on their bloody clothes, watching as the pinkish water went down the drain. Once they left the store, their journey consisted of occasionally hiding from police in tall grass and singing songs as if nothing was wrong. Though they tried to be excited about what they had just done, waves of emotions crept over them, triggering crying fits and panic. The girls would then make their way through the streets of Waukesha, eventually walking along Interstate 94 to Chequamegon-Nicollet National Forest. It's fascinating how much it sounds like a kid who like broke something in the house and their mom's going to find out soon, you know, like this childish panic for something they've done wrong. Because it's like, to them, that's what it is. It's like, oh, if we act normal, if we do this, it'll be fine. And then these random bouts of panic when you fear you're going to get in trouble. I mean, the roller coaster of just think back to what was just read. I mean, it's the thing of stabbed her, she gets up, they run back, they pretend that they're going to help her, or they probably think like, oh God, okay, here. And then they pretend they're going to help her. They leave again. They're like having these like emotional fits where they're crying. And then all of a sudden they start singing as if nothing's wrong. I mean, it's just like such a chaotic, it's a fucking chaotic storm that's happening right now. Yeah. It's tragic. I mean, all of it's tragic. Obviously, the biggest tragedy falls with Peyton, of course. But man, just what a sick world where a child can be exposed to an illness that makes her develop these delusions and hurt others. Man, it's rough. With her friends long gone, Peyton would roll over and begin to crawl along the forest floor. As twigs and leaves grazed against her open wounds, she relentlessly fought as her consciousness threatened to flicker out with each labored moment. Her vision would fade in and out, and her shallow breathing would worsen as she pulled the weight of her weak body. For what felt like hours, Peyton crawled until she finally made it out of the dark forest and felt the sun hit her skin. The grass was warm as she continued to crawl, hoping to find help until she reached a bike trail running parallel to the woods. Within minutes, Greg Steinberg, a Waukesha resident, was riding his bike and saw the young girl lying in the grass and asked if she was okay. Through her weak state, Peyton mumbled,
"Can you help me? I've been stabbed multiple times."
Greg immediately called the authorities and waited by her side until they arrived.
Unbelievable to have that kind of I mean, like, to hold on that long.
Yeah.
I mean, oh God, it's so fucking, it's sick. I mean, I'm like, it's just such a fucking badass move. I'm like, God, I can't even imagine. First off, she gets up earlier, walks around, tries to hold herself up. Imagine being stabbed 19 times and like even being able to utter a single word or move whatsoever.
Yeah. Not only that, but to find like your way out through the midst of that. Officer Dan Klein was the first to arrive on the scene and could immediately tell that something was very wrong.
She wasn't moving a whole lot. As I approached her, I said, "Hi, I'm Officer Dan. Are you okay?" She said no. As I got closer, I started to see a lot of blood. And the closer I got, the more blood I saw.
Payton was able to talk to the officer and identify Morgan Geyser as her attacker, and said that there was another girl with her whom she identified as Anissa Weyer. A manhunt for the girls was launched as Waukesha police frantically searched the city for the young culprits. One of the first places officials searched was the Geyser home, believing the girls had fled there and were hiding inside. At the time, Angie Geyser was vacuuming in the basement when her 6-year-old son ran down the stairs, saying the police were at the front door asking where her daughter was. Confused, she rushed upstairs and was met with police standing in her home, adorned in riot gear. The police asked where the girls had gone, and she stated they had gone down to the park. Seemingly not believing her, they began searching her home as she frantically asked what was going on. Officers then said that one of the girls was hurt in an accident. This sent Angie spiraling. Police arrived at the Weir house around the same time and told Anissa's mother, Christy, her daughter was missing. Believing her daughter had been kidnapped, Christy made her way over to the Geyser residence, where police were swarming the streets. She made her way into the home and found her daughter's cell phone, hoping it would have clues about where the girls might be. As she searched through the phone, she opened the Notes app and found that her daughter had left a note detailing her final wishes. Christy quickly showed the message to the police, which read,
"This is my final wish to those who care. Do not grieve my absence, but remember me for who I was. I love and cherish you all. It wouldn't do you harm."
While all of this was going on, Peyton's mother was at home peacefully painting an old patio set and awaiting her daughter's phone call to pick her up from the sleepover. Out of the corner of her eyes, she saw police quickly walking towards her along the side of her house. Before she could speak, they asked,
"Are you Peyton's mom?"
Immediately, Stacy's heart sank, wondering whether they were for her daughter or her husband, who had been at work at the time. The worry she felt soon turned to utter dread when police informed her that her daughter had been stabbed 19 times by her best friend and was fighting for her life at the hospital. Stacy ran inside and called her husband frantically, saying,
"Morgan stabbed Peyton. You need to come home."
Peyton's younger brother had been playing inside the whole time and watched as his mother broke down in tears. After her phone call, she approached him and the two began to cry as they loaded into the car and went to the hospital. When Stacy identified herself as Peyton's mother, it wasn't long before she was guided through the busy ER to her daughter, who lay looking lifeless on a hospital gurney. Peyton's mother couldn't believe her daughter's condition, stating,
"She was pale as a ghost. She was terrified. She was crying. She couldn't breathe."
Man, what a horrifying situation.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I cannot fucking even fathom, dude.
Yeah.
And I won't even speculate on it.
Me, I refuse.
Mm-hmm.
I simply will not put myself
can't imagine
in this
it.
location.
I can't imagine it. And I'll tell you what, Isaiah, I simply won't.
I also feel bad for not Morgan, Anissa's mother, right? Because Morgan's, I mean, I also feel, sympathy, of course, but there were signs that her daughter was unwell. But I imagined for Anissa's mother, who just knew that her daughter didn't get along well with school and, was a little behind her other classmates and stuff. I mean, you just think your daughter has a friend and then you find out all of this. That's got to be crushing as well, right?
Oh my God. I mean, like, oh, hey, I got a new friend at school. That's so cool. You're
Yeah.
happy for her, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, by the way, we're planning a fucking murder for a fictitious, for Slenderman. I mean, it's like, it's bordering on the line of being like, hey, we murdered someone because we thought that we could steal their V-Bucks or something. It has like that level of fucking like memery to it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Murdering someone for their V-Bucks.
I mean, it's kind of like that, right? Or no? Is it not like that?
I mean, I guess.
I mean, I don't know. All I can say, all I can say is this: is I very, very happy that I still cannot believe somebody getting stabbed 19 times and just being like, also a child, mind you, getting stabbed 19 times. And then just having the sheer willpower to also just be like, I'm not fucking dying. And then to even just be like, yo, I need to go to the hospital. It's kind of what she just straight up said to the guy when he came up. Mm-hmm. Hey, by the way, they stabbed my guts like 20 times. I need to get to the hospital quick.
I looked up, has anyone ever killed anyone over V-Bucks? And the helpful as always, Google AI says, nope. However, there was
I don't believe it.
a case of a man shooting his stepson in 2024 over a dispute involving a 9-year-old playing the game against parental rules. And also, a 10-year-old
What?
boy made national headlines after shooting and killing his mother in 2022 because she refused to buy him a VR headset.
I still feel like first off, I don't trust the AI with my life, but I will say that I refuse to believe that someone has not been shot and or stabbed for V-Bucks or because of V-Bucks.
And
Actually, for V-Bucks, as if someone was like stealing petty cash off someone.
yeah.
I feel like there has to be a V-Bucks murder.
Yes, people have been physically assaulted, robbed, and violently targeted in real life over Fortnite V-Bucks.
You gotta watch out.
There's
It's a beautiful. It's a big
documented-
currency.
There are multiple documented cases of players meeting up in person to trade accounts or give V-Bucks only to be robbed at gunpoint or beaten.
God. Dude, I don't know what kind of waterhead you have to be to sit there and I don't know what kind of waterhead you have to be to sit there and be like, yeah, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go to the Chipotle down the road real quick and meet up a guy to do a V-Bucks transfer. There's got to be other ways, bro. There's got to be other ways.
Man, okay, this is a topic for a later day, but I gotta know about the V-Bucks. I gotta know about the V-Bucks.
Is this a future Wendigoon video?
I mean, it might be. Oh. Minutes before her arrival, Peyton was ushered into Waukesha Memorial Hospital, where trauma surgeon Dr. Brian Huxdorf rushed down to the ER to inspect a 12-year-old girl suffering severe trauma from stab wounds. When he arrived, he couldn't believe his eyes. By all accounts, Peyton should not have survived the attack, let alone been able to crawl out of the woods. He quickly noticed how badly damaged her internal organs were, but what scared him the most was the stab wound that entered what is referred to as the cardiac box, where the heart and major arteries are located. During his analysis, Dr. Huxdorf and other doctors saw that the blade of the knife had missed a major artery in Peyton's chest by less than a hair, saving her from an almost instant death. Doctors knew she needed life-saving surgery and began to prep her as her mother stood next to her daughter. Stacy repeated over and over again,
You're gonna be okay. It's gonna be fine.
as her little girl faintly lifted her hand out seeking comfort. The longer she stayed in the trauma room, the more the severity of her daughter's situation sank in. The nurses next to her were counting out the stab wounds.
There's 5 on her arm. There's 7 on her leg. Okay, I count 19. I count 19 as well.
Hearing these words was something no mother could ever imagine. Before she could even begin to process her emotions, her daughter was rushed off to surgery room with a 25 to 50% chance of survival. By the time Peyton was entering surgery, multiple police departments were on the hunt for 2 suspects of a supposed stabbing. While driving along Interstate 94, 5 miles from Davids Park, Waukesha Sheriff's Department Lieutenant Paul Rehnquist saw the 2 girls walking along the interstate after receiving a call of a possible sighting. When he stopped and got out of the car, he was shocked to see that the supposed stabbing suspects were 2 little girls. Before he did anything else, he asked if they had anything that could poke him, to which the girls responded that they had a knife in their bag. Before he placed the girls in the back of his squad car, Lieutenant Rehnquist noticed the ungodly amount of blood staining Morgan's clothing and asked if she had been injured. Morgan shook her head and said no, which confused Rehnquist even more, prompting him to ask where it came from. Without hesitation, Morgan replied,
I was forced to stab my best friend to death. My God.
yeah, well, I mean, like, again, it's she's delusional. She thinks that she's doing this to save her, you know?
100%. Fuck.
Yeah.
Good God almighty.
This was the exact moment all doubt was erased from Paul's mind. Realizing she was the suspect, he read her Miranda rights and kindly asked if she'd be willing to talk to him about it.
Well, yeah, dude. Well, that checks enough boxes for me. I better call this in. It's like, yeah, dude, what? All right, well, hold my doubts. Also,
I've
like,
got a feeling here.
2 little girls covered in blood walking down the interstate. Color me curious. Do you have anything that could poke me? I had to stab my friend for a fictional Tumblr character. Okay, another box checked.
He has a box that says
Paul,
stabs friend.
bring him in. It's
Yeah.
like, my God.
He has a box
Hey,
that is
Officer Paul.
labeled "stab." I had to stab friend for fictional internet character.
It's as big as Steve's notebook from Blue's Clues, and he's using a giant crayon. And he's like doing check marks.
This
in the
is like
boxes.
the SpongeBob case from last week.
Okay.
But that was
What do you think,
television,
Blue?
and this is the
What do you
internet.
what do you think, Blue? He just has a dyed blue German Shepherd in the back of his car, just barking viciously.
Frothing at the
Yeah, I
mouth.
think it's a bit of a coinky dink, isn't it, buddy? Bark to the backseat.
We just got
All
a
right, you guys are gonna have
letter.
to sit back there with Blue. Don't put me back there with him.
Now I'm thinking of this cop character going to different like scenes and stuff like that. Like, like he goes to like someone took their own life, and there's a note on the table, and he's like, "We just got a letter. Wonder."
I wonder who it's from. I have a suspicion that this was the victim's note. It's like, yeah. All right, girl. What if you looked at it and said, "All right, girls, get in the battle bus."
I think this is so. I always worry with these things that I'm being disrespectful of the story, and my rule is
Listen.
always that as long as I'm not, discrediting the tragedy that happened or the people going,
Well, yeah,
suffering through it.
I
I feel like this is riding the handrail of that.
I am just trying to make light of. I'm just trying to make. I mean, I am not at all making light of what the girl went through, but just the idea of a cop walking up on two girls covered in blood on the interstate. And it's like, okay, well, we're looking for two girls. And he's like, okay, that might be them. And they are riddled with blood. And the cop's like,
just two girls covered in blood here. Nothing to
hey
report.
guys, sorry to inconvenience you. I know you're covered in blood. Did you get any scrapes? No. Okay, well, do you have anything? It's just a thing where it's like, I don't know. Just a little silly.
Just going through the whole questionnaire.
Can we not have a bit of brevity in this moment?
Sure.
Right?
Hey, man, it's your world. I'm just living in it. Realizing she was the suspect, he read her Miranda rights and kindly asked if she'd be willing to talk to him about it. Once again, Morgan repeated that she had a sleepover at her house and she and Anissa were forced to stab Peyton. Ball's mind began to race, worrying that if this story were true, there was a victim in Waukesha who needed assistance. After loading them into the cop car, he called dispatch, letting them know he found the two suspects and wondered if the victim had been found. After being informed that Peyton was in surgery, Paul rushed the girls back to the Waukesha Police Department to be questioned further. Headlines would soon come out about the attack, causing uproar in the little town of Waukesha as reports began flooding the town. Slenderman was now at the forefront of every TV as the entire world was being exposed to it. The creepypasta community came under fire for the attacks, with people believing the forum was solely responsible by corrupting the girls. The creator of Slenderman, Eric Knudsen, publicly apologized and condemned the act.
I am deeply saddened by the tragedy in Wisconsin, and my heart goes out to the families of those affected by this terrible act.
He said in a statement to the media. Moderators of the forum also spoke out against the crime, thinking it was absurd to blame the creepypasta community for the girls' actions.
Placing blame solely on an interest in reading/writing about horror, paranormal myths, urban legends, etc. for a tragedy would be off the mark. The really young kids, while I don't believe that creepypasta stories will cause them to become evil or sick, I do think it could scare them and or make them very anxious. And if your child has issues with violence or destructive or depressive issues, it's really important to make sure that they're not interacting with things that will exacerbate that.
Yeah, correct. I agree. The creepypasta forum was under a media frenzy as people began to view it as an evil entity responsible for corrupting two innocent little girls. The media was so distracted by the creepypasta forums that they neglected to pay any attention to the real monsters that were currently being interrogated.
I do think it's funny that they like go to the guy who created the Slenderman image, and they're like, "How do you feel?" And like,
What
for
do
sure
you
the
have
media
to
was
say
twisting
about
it.
this? Yeah,
exactly. The media is like twisting it to have him basically like, I don't particularly feel great about it. I think it sucks. So you feel remorse. You feel sorry for it. It's just twisting in that way. It's just so fucking scummy, man.
Yeah, it's I remember when this was happening, it was all the news reports like creepypastas. Is this the next school shooting? More at 11, like just no understanding of what happened or why it happened and things. It was a mentally ill child who wasn't being regulated in a way they should have been, and then acted on those like depraved ideas and delusions. But all the news can do, because they just minimize it. It's like I said, it's the same as the video game conversation.
While Slenderman was popular in online circles, did this event truly skyrocket it into a very mainstream?
No one knew who Slenderman was in the mainstream. Internet
even
users
creepypastas
did
as well.
Well, I mean, like, if you knew creepypastas, you knew who Slenderman was.
Or no. Sorry. What I meant was, did it also just like give more? Did it give more eyes to also like creepypastas and like those kind of horror communities in general?
Yeah, I remember coming home from school when this, or no, it was in the summer. It was right after school's out. But I remember coming to the living room one day, and I remember my mom being like, "Oh, whatever this is, you make sure you stay away from it." And I'm like, what? And she's like, this Slender Man thing. You don't know about that, right? And I'm like, all right. So we need context. I mean, I was 15, so I was old enough that, my mom trusted me when I was like, this isn't a bad thing. This is clearly the news has no idea what it's talking about.
You were swirling your glass of whole milk, and you're like, "Listen, princess, I've been showing
calling
girls
your mom
the audio versions of this.
I've been showing the ladies these things for quite a while now.
Why don't you suck on your chug jug and calm down? Because I've been showing girls the Mr. Creepypasta versions of this for a long time."
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like, it's how the news is with anything. You have a bunch of people sitting around the table.
Sensationalize it.
Yeah, and they're like, can you believe this? Like, should this be allowed? Should the internet be allowed to use words like die and kill in front of kids? Anyway, after the commercial break, we're going to talk about a car bomb in Lebanon in which 13 children were killed. It's like, well, yeah, whatever. If it benefits them, it's justified. If it can be sensationalized, it's bad, whatever. But yeah, this projected the idea of Slenderman into the stratosphere. But because of that, a bunch of people's interpretation of Slenderman is that it's something that makes kids kill each other online.
Oh, sure. Like now it's like changed the lore of it in the public perception.
I mean, it didn't really change the online scene, I don't think, that much. Most people kind of have like a reverence for the story to not touch it or incorporate it, But if you ask like some adult, like a boomer who's never read a creepypasta but heard about it from the news, it's like, oh, Slender Man. Yeah, that's that girl that stabbed that girl, right? Over that cartoon thing. Yeah. So in the dimly lit rooms of the Waukesha police station, the girls were questioned for hours on end. Morgan, being the main suspect, was questioned for longer and calmly discussed every detail with the officer. When asked about her motive, she went into great detail about Slenderman and how they had to become proxies, otherwise their families would have been killed. Throughout the interrogation, she implied that Anissa was the main person behind the crime. Morgan claimed Anissa was the main planner. She was the one who insisted on the murder and that she was less remorseful. Unaware that Peyton already identified her as the main suspect, Morgan tried to portray herself as an innocent accomplice. With each passing question, she slowly revealed her sinister mental state by expressing how she felt while stabbing her friend.
I felt no remorse. I actually felt nothing.
She would continue to say as she questioned why she didn't feel as guilty as she thought she would for the betrayal. When she got to the details of the sacrifice, she broke down crying, recalling hearing her friend's cries ringing in her head. Morgan opened up about her visions, her fantasies of hurting people. When she ended her side of the story, she started shutting down, saying she was numb. Down the hall, Anissa was given a lot of the same information. She explained how they planned the murder months in advance and that they had to become proxies. She, on the other hand, was putting all the blame on Morgan. Anissa said that it was Morgan who initially proposed killing Peyton. Though she painted Morgan as the mastermind, Anissa admitted to pushing Peyton to the ground in the woods and restraining her on the ground.
This is all very brutal too. I don't know if you've ever seen the documentary Beware the Slender Man on HBO, but these you can kind of get. They have a lot of the police interrogation room footage of this, and it's very haunting, very 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 tough to watch.
Yeah. It's I mean, I don't know. It's tragic situations like this, and you want to be mad at someone, but then it's like for me at least, I look at the perpetrators. It's like, gosh, you have a mentally ill child and another one who was developmentally behind and stuff like that. It's like, just what a horrible circumstance to lead between all three of them to lead this to happen.
Two lost children that were able to brew in their fantasies for too long.
No one helped. Yeah. The questions kept coming one after the other as Anissa said and answered everyone. Slowly, she began to question everything about the stabbing and her beliefs about Slenderman. Anissa told the officer that, while out on the interstate, she had a nervous breakdown and lay down on the side of the road. Morgan began to panic and called out to the woods.
Slender, if you're listening, please help us. Oh, God.
This was when the wave of panic would fully consume both girls as they slowly began to realize maybe Slenderman wasn't real.
Oh, God. Ugh.
Not even halfway through the interview, she coyly told the officer.
Beforehand, I believe, but now I know that it's just teenagers who really like scaring people and making them believe false things. Oh, God.
Yeah. Just
the tragic clarity there. My God, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, kids should have just never been exposed to this kind of thing, if they can't handle it. In her mind, Anissa was trying to control the damage as much as possible and make herself seem innocent. She clearly stated that she feared for her family's life and, more importantly, feared going to prison. She claimed to be squeamish and could never stab anyone. She claimed she wasn't a violent person, yet she was there every step of the way and only showed remorse when the murder attempt was over. Anissa asked if Peyton was alive, and when they said she was in surgery, she said she was kind of happy, but worried that she would hate her when they met again. Again, like the childness of it, the childness of it, where it's like, oh, well, will my friend be mad at me? Kind of adds to the sorrow of the whole thing.
It's so hard not to lash out emotionally at that kind of thing too. You know what I mean? Like I can see a lot of people who will listen to this or, see the documentary, read about it, do whatever, and then just be like, oh, you're just covering your ass. You don't give a shit, without understanding like the complexities of like, I guess just the absolute mental turmoil and like how just severely mentally broken and destroyed this person's brain is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doesn't condone what she did. I'm just saying that like it's
not a justification. It's just a reason.
Not at all. It's just what a fucking murky waters that is for a person's brain.
Yeah. As they were being questioned, police dug through Morgan's room and discovered all of her mutilated dolls and the pages in her diary. At that point, the police were already seeing how oblivious the parents and school staff were during the months leading up to the attack. Police in turn questioned the parents about what they knew about their children's unhealthy obsession with the creepypasta. Morgan's parents claimed she was just a typical girl who had an obsession with horror. Her mother said,
she would show us some of the pictures and she would read us some of the stories, and while all the subject matter was a little dark, I wasn't concerned. When I was Morgan's age, I was reading Stephen King novels. I remember being 11 years old and riding home from the library with the It book under my arm. That's a very scary and dark story, so I just thought it was normal for a child of middle school age to be interested in scary stories.
I mean, that kind of justification is the exact kind of thing I would probably say, right? Like
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
1,000,000%. Once again, though, it just comes down to the point of being like, does my child have schizophrenic tendencies? Also, how often? Like, I mean, there's just other things too. Like, let me ask you this.
And the nuance of them. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Isaiah. Let's say if your kid was like, which obviously your kid's gonna like horror stories and all that. I mean, that's just a given, right?
She could also just despise me and everything to do with me, but more than likely, yeah.
Yeah, they're just also like, I actually fucking hate you.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's weird, buddy. I'm not gonna.
Okay, you're fine.
Right, I'm gonna shut my door. Right. I'm gonna shut your door, and you get to have 6 hours alone time in your room. Now if you went up to your kid's room and you saw like mutilated dolls and all that kind of stuff, like, at what point do you sit the kid down and be like, hey, buddy, are you okay? What is this all about?
If they're like, yeah, if they're caught, I feel like if they pulled the heads off dolls, no, because I used to do that with action figures just because, not in any murderous intent. I think I was just like, oh, how's the head work on the puppet thing? But if they were like carving symbols into their chest and stuff like that, I think that's the sit down on the bed and have a long talk, at least kind of step.
I would probably, even if it was a person, because also I'm going to be like, because even if I was your dad, Isaiah, and I went into your room, there was the heads off dolls or whatever.
I'll just like, take them off and put them back on. Yeah.
I'm just curious how they work.
I want to see how the blood works. Yeah.
I feel like at some point,
no one knows.
at some point, this story has made me, or like the scenario where basically like this crime has definitely made me be like, if you see something weird, you just need to sit down and be like, you realize, buddy, that like, this is make believe, right? Or like,
why is
this fascinating?
What's going on there?
Doesn't mean that. I don't think it necessarily just immediately means that like I think that my child's going to murder someone.
Yeah.
But it's good to do a temperature check, right?
There needs to be some check-ins, once in a while, I think, yeah, because there's a layer between reading it and writing about how you have to kill someone to save your family, like
right. Which once again, who knows the amount of like insight she had and yada yada. I mean, like I'm just saying in general.
There's a layer. If I saw these signs,
parenting's
hard. I completely sympathize with that, but there's got to be a stopgap somewhere.
There also has got to be signs.
It has
right?
to be. Well, I mean, they said that she was taking the psychologist and stuff like that, and talked about demons biting her. So
also, even in the school, there's got to be something. I mean,
yeah,
like
the rubber mallet.
The counselor turning a blind eye, all of these things to where even like, let's say not even the rubber mallet. There's got to be things of like things said where it's just who is turning a blind eye and just being like, kids are kids. The kids.
There had to be a bunch of people that could have done something, drop the ball. I feel like situations like this are prevented a lot because at least one adult down the pipe was like, hey, should someone say something, do something,
How do you, as a teacher, let's say you're the teacher here, Isaiah, and you're in the class, what do you try to do here to check in on the kid and maybe divert their path, right?
There were some kids at my school in high school who were a little questionable as to they might hurt someone. And I remember one day there was a kid who made a joke about having an AK in his backpack. And the moment he made that joke in school, and one of the kids went to a teacher, and that teacher ripped him out of the hallway immediately, and like took a with the principal, and they like searched his backpack and everything. And I don't think he had one, but there was I don't know all the details about it because it's a school, everyone passed rumors around and stuff like that.
Good on that teacher.
But he got expelled for that. But there was because I don't think he had. I'm pretty sure he did not have a weapon, but there was something else found in combination with that led to enough suspicion that it wasn't just a joke. Maybe they found a note or something like that. I don't know.
The people that do that stuff, though,
it just takes one adult to be like, hey, hold on, what's going on here? So
the people that are doing these things, I feel like they nonchalantly say that stuff because I feel like they want the attention for someone to stop them or just give them that attention to where I'm curious. Once again, all speculative, hindsight 2020, right? I'm just talking because we're on a podcast and I get to talk. I bet you fucking anything Morgan said something. She was
talking to a psychologist. She was talking about ghost biting her and stuff like that. Like
ghost biting, but I'm even saying to the extent of being like gonna have to make a sacrifice to Slenderman.
Oh,
gonna have to do it. I bet you it was that casual, and people probably were like, "What the and kids are probably like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And discarded it. But I'm just saying. Now with this story, with this information, if I was a teacher and I heard something like that, I would pull her aside and I would say, what in the fuck are you talking about? Explain.
Yeah.
Because if she's this far gone, she might be like, oh, well, I have to make a sacrifice.
Yeah.
It might be that nonchalant.
Well, I mean, you see that. That's what she did when she was being interrogated. And that's what
I'm saying.
That was a lot with mentally ill people who commit like murder. You'll see in interrogation tapes, they're just like, yeah, well, I killed him. Yeah, well, I had to kill him. So I just killed him. Like, it's just
that's what I'm saying. That if you got that, if you were able to get that far beforehand with just a simple conversation of asking a kid like how they're doing, what is it? You know, how much of this could have been prevented? Once again, hindsight 2020, just saying.
Yeah. Nissa's mother said,
she never mentioned anything to me about her belief in Slenderman.
Both fathers were supposedly oblivious to their daughter's beliefs. Eerily, however, a month before the murder, Morgan's dad posted a picture on Instagram of a Slenderman drawing made by his daughter. Once the interrogations ended, there was little doubt the girls would face prison time. They were handcuffed and taken to jail to await trial.
Do you believe that, Isaiah?
I don't know about the Morgan's thing, but do what?
What do you know about them? What do you mean about the Morgan thing?
I was saying I don't know how much Morgan's dad actually knew versus like, oh, my daughter drew a picture, right? You know?
Oh, 100%. I'm just saying. Now, let me just to fucking be the devil on your shoulder a bit here.
Okay. That's your job on this podcast.
Do you really believe that they didn't understand some shit?
So. Again, going back to Morgan's father having schizophrenia and not taking his medication because he liked the entities that he would speak to.
I hate that we keep bringing that up because now every time you're doing it in a way that's justified and you're putting reason behind it, right? But I'm dumb, Isaiah, and what I'm doing is I'm now taking it, and then the mom's like, I don't think that she really believes in this, right? And the dad's like, nah, I doubt it, right, Mr. Balopatis? And it's like a giant polka dot man, and he's like, oh, I doubt it, Mr. Morgan's dad. So like, in my mind, that's where my mind's going, that this is a full-on insane man, which I know is not true. But the way you keep bringing it up, I just keep picturing this giant, like, polka-dotted man who's just like, yeah, we all have a crazy interest, don't we?
Yeah, man, something like that.
We could cut that. If it does, I mean,
no, I thought it was funny.
Okay.
But because of that, I wonder if the father did know something, how reluctant he would be to share it or to prevent it, or if he'd be in a position to prevent it. Because all that we get from this document is that he didn't take it when he was younger, or he quit taking it when he was younger because he liked the entities he was talking to. That doesn't necessarily mean he didn't take it into adulthood or got better or anything like that. Just at one point, that was his idea. But I wonder if he'd be in a state or willing to share if he knew something. So who knows?
I fully believe that I fully believe that they thought that it was a phase, right? But I am hesitant. I'm hesitant to believe that she never once ever said, yeah, Slenderman's real. And they were like, and just did, like, that's nice, whatever. I'm wondering if that ever popped up of the idea of Morgan being like, yeah, I don't know. I just think he's really cool. I can't wait to meet him. Something like that, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean like, hey guys, this is my God. I don't think that she ever said something like that.
Yeah.
But I just mean that something to where, if I was like doing the dishes, I would like turn off the faucet and be like, say what? Like that kind of like, what do you like? What? Yeah, because then I'm curious if that ever actually happened. Because them just saying like, no, we had no idea about her belief of it. I don't know, man. To quote Michael Scott, which is a funny thing to do.
Crazy pull. I'm
not superstitious. I'm a little stitious, and that's what I was going to say.
Okay, thank you.
It actually legitimately cut that because I'm going to fucking kill myself if that actually goes up.
No, it should go up. You in the midst of this story,
editor, if you want to keep your job,
in the words of Michael Scott.
During the Slenderman stabbing video.
Yeah, during the
editor,
Slenderman.
Legitimately, if you want to keep your
editor,
job, if you fucking cut
editor,
that.
If you want to get pay double.
He has no
pay double whatever Hunter's paying you.
No.
Leave that in. Thank you. If you leave that in, unironically, I will send you a tip. So.
Okay, you cannot fight. Do not bribe the editor.
I just did
with tips.
I just did. It's 50% my show. I can bribe whoever I want.
You want Isaiah's tip? I said that. I immediately smiled. Isaiah's going to give you the tip.
If you leave that in.
Just the tip.
You can scare him out of it all you want. It's already done. The fate is already sealed. If Nate's editing this, you couldn't pay him to cut that. Peyton would undergo a 6-hour surgery before being intubated. Her breathing was weak and her voice was gone, forcing her to communicate with the police and her parents by writing on a pad of paper. 2 days after the attack, she was able to speak, and one of the first things she asked was if Anissa and Morgan had been caught.
I remember the first thing that I thought after I woke up was like, did they get them? Are they there? Are they in custody? Are they still out?
Her father knelt by her side and assured her that the girls had been caught.
This is my little girl who's lying there, who just said there's something incredibly horrendous happened, and now she's scared for her life because these two people could potentially find her again. No shit, dude.
Yeah. With Anissa and Morgan in custody, the girls were getting set up for their trial as prosecutors sought to lock them away. Psychological evaluations were issued to both girls and led to Morgan getting an official schizophrenia diagnosis. Her symptoms would only worsen the longer she was in jail, with her mother describing her as floridly psychotic. Initially, she really... Oh, this is a quote. Go ahead.
Initially, she really behaved like a caged animal. Her hair was wild. The first time I went to visit her, she looked at me, and she had sort of this flat expression on her face, and she said, "Why are you here?" It's heartbreaking. I sympathize with the parents in that way once again.
Of course, yeah.
This revelation and stuff. At the same time, Peyton's dad fully on. If I was Peyton's dad, I would be in the same mindset of like, these people did this for a fictional character. What makes you think they are going to stop at like?
I could only
just because she's in the hospital.
rage
I imagine they would sneak in or that something would happen.
I could only imagine the rage that Peyton's parents would feel.
Oh. Yeah. I would be like, my heel, your fucking temple, and I would do a fucking Street Fighter kick. I'd look like King from Tekken. That's what I would do.
I want to let's get a tally going of times Hunter makes pop culture references in the midst of the child stabbing video.
I will stop. I'm once again, my brain is simple. I only have references that I can use. I'm just skirting around the idea that I would find these children and I would fucking kill them is what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah, no, I get it. I think that'd be the
I was
rage
trying to have
a
more palatable, digestible version of that.
Yeah. And I think that would be an understandable, anger for the parents to have in that moment. Because, my gosh, your child stabbed 19 times. What kind of parent wouldn't, Caretakers at the jail recorded Morgan talking to figures that were not there. While in her cell, she continued to talk to Slenderman, as well as Severus Snape, Lord Voldemort, and one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Unicorns. That's a rough patch for you. That sentence. A lot of landmines for you in that one.
Literally right after the pop culture reference, and you hit me with that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Tell me.
Make your comment.
No. I said I wouldn't.
You actually didn't. You never said you would.
I said I wouldn't. I said I'm done. I said I won't.
Okay. All right. Unicorns allegedly filled her room as she pretended to be a cat and kept ants as pets. During one of her competency reviews, she squatted on a chair and laughed uncontrollably while a psychologist questioned her. She told her doctor directly that she wasn't afraid of going to prison because she could use Vulcan mind control from Star Trek to believe whatever she wanted. Go ahead, Hunter.
No. Well, I'm trying to find this is another problem with me, and you need to ground me, okay? Ground me right now. My problem right now is I want to say, oh, how convenient that once you're caught, now you're starting to act like a fucking nut in there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Does it not feel a tad performative? Am I wrong?
No,
am I just being a bit doomed?
No, not someone who's that gone. So what it was is more than likely is when she was outside before she got arrested, she had so many barriers adjusting her. Like, for example, if you imagine someone...
You're saying the floodgates are open now.
Yeah, the floodgates are open now. Like, think about it this way. If you have a condition where you imagine people who aren't really there, right? And you're in public or you're at your house with your family and you're the only one who sees them and no one else addresses them. That kind of acts as like barriers for your mind to be like, okay, they don't. I'm the only one. I'm the only one. But then you're locked up by yourself all day. Well, then, you know.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So solitary confinement because there is no... Well, let me ask you this.
I don't even think she was in solitary confinement, but just being outside of that setting where you have constant buffers for your mindset, where there's
would the
not
buffer not be
you.
the cop, though? Would the buffer not be the cop being like, that this is not real? Or no?
Well, there's not a cop sitting there all day doing that with her.
Well, sure.
And also,
maybe not all day, but...
There's also the fact that mental illnesses tend to compound when exposed to things like stress and paranoia.
I mean, the trauma of
fear.
actually performing the act was probably also the opening of the floodgates.
Yeah, and now she's in jail, and she's a young girl who doesn't go to school anymore, doesn't see people anymore. She's now locked in a room. Like all of those stressors would compound with the illness.
I'm reacting emotionally and not. And not, you know, I'm reacting emotionally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm at this point where I'm like, you cannot get out of this. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, spoilers. That's where it goes. But so, when her parents heard her diagnosis, they said they were not surprised because of her father's history.
When they told us what had happened and that she had done it because she believed Slenderman is real, that's where my mind went. It says she must be sick.
Angie and her husband even admitted that they knew their daughter lacked basic empathy.
We had been concerned to show Morgan the movie Bambi because she was a sensitive and empathetic child, at least towards other people. So we were afraid that when she saw the movie, that when Bambi's mother died, she'd be devastated. She in fact had quite the opposite reaction. After Bambi's mother was shot, Morgan just said, "Run, Bambi, run," and had no reaction whatsoever to the mother dying. So it was kind of the opposite reaction that we expected.
Interesting.
I don't think that's that crazy of a response, is it?
Well,
Bambi, get the fuck out of there.
Well, more so, I mean the fact that, because the not showing empathy is sociopathy or psychopathy, which is different, very different from schizophrenia. But the idea that maybe she couldn't really project empathy onto something else, that's an interesting idea from the parents. But also the parents could just be, this is a circumstantial story. Like you said, it could just be she was just thinking of Bambi and didn't really process the mom yet or something.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. All speculative. Everything we're saying, take with a grain of salt.
Yeah. With all of her psychological diagnosis, her parents finally took notice and began to listen to their daughter's delusions. For years, Morgan cried out and no one listened. Only after committing a heinous crime did people begin to give her the treatment and care she needed. Her parents petitioned that she be moved to a mental institute to receive proper care. After a judge approved the move, her overall condition improved, though she still had bouts of mental instability. After numerous visits, her own mother said,
"The best way to describe it is that it was like the light came back behind her eyes. If I had any idea that she believed Slenderman was real, we would have done something about it. We had no idea. I think on some level, I always feel responsible for not knowing that my daughter wasn't well. As a mother, you're supposed to be there to protect your child, and, I think on some level, I always feel that I failed in that regard."
Despite improvement, Morgan had fought hard against being medicated, just like her father, knowing that once she swallowed the first pill, her lifelong friends would disappear.
Morgan is adamant in her perspective that she does not want medication. She has been told that the medication, by a clinician, not myself, that the medication will take away the voices. She wants the voices to stay. She doesn't want medication.
Yeah, same as her father. Anissa had been separated from Morgan as soon as she walked through the front doors of the Waukesha Police Department. After her interrogation, Anissa was moved to the Washington County Juvenile Detention Center, where guards described her as a model inmate. She excelled in her schooling and looked after other inmates, acting as a big sister. Though she appeared to be doing fine, the memories of the attack still haunted Anissa. Other inmates harassed her and called her a monster, which ate away at her psyche.
That's what I am. Exactly what they called me.
Her psychological evaluation found that she suffered from folie à deux, adopting and reinforcing Morgan's delusions as a form of escapism because the fantasy world felt safer and more appealing than reality. For years, Anissa's mother struggled to watch her little girl through the glass in the meeting room while she awaited trial.
The visiting area, there's a cement table and a piece of glass, and we can see each other, but we can't touch her. I can't wipe away a tear. I can't give her a hug. I can't kiss her.
For 3 years, the girls were held in separate facilities and brought in and out of courtrooms as they fought for their innocence. After a lot of back and forth between doctors and lawyers, both girls were deemed competent to stand trial despite their psychological evaluations and were set to be sentenced in adult court. Their defense argued they should be tried as juveniles since they were only 12 years old at the time of the crime, but the judge denied their request.
For Miss Geister's situation, based on the nature of schizophrenia and mental health law, once she left the juvenile system, there would be no oversight or control. No way to protect public safety.
Stacy Leutner celebrated the court's decision.
Adult crime is adult court. If they had stolen a candy bar, sure, that's a child. But you tried to kill somebody, that's an adult crime.
I think we talked about that in a previous episode, or I talked about somewhere where typically the whole charged as a child is just for not capital offense level crimes. Once you do that, then it suddenly not a juvenile court anymore. It's now adult court. Knowing how violent the crime was and that it was planned months in advance, there was no way either girl was going to be tried as a juvenile. Anissa had expressed remorse for the crime, but Morgan only began to show regret after she was medicated. It was the opinion of one of her doctors that she simply needs to grow up to be deemed competent. In 2017, Anissa was charged with attempted second-degree intentional homicide as a party to a crime with the use of a dangerous weapon. It's pretty specific, but I think that covers everything. A jury found her guilty, but not guilty due to mental disease or defect. With all the evidence laid out before him, and after hearing the jury's verdict, Judge Michael Boren sentenced Anissa to 25 years at the Winnebago Mental Health Institute, with a mandatory 3-year confinement and communal supervision until the age of 37. Morgan's trial would take place 6 weeks later, where she would also be found guilty but not guilty due to mental disease or defect for her charges of attempted first-degree intentional homicide as a party to a crime. She would be sentenced to the maximum sentence of 40 years in a mental institute after her psychological evaluations were read to the court. When the sentencing was over, Peyton's family breathed a sigh of relief knowing justice had been served. Years of waiting and anticipation were over with one hit of a gavel. Peyton returned home from the hospital 1 week after the attack. She constantly ran fevers and had shallow breathing, even when walking short distances. It was hard to move on after such a traumatic experience. At only 12 years old, her life was almost ripped from her by her best friend, only surviving by the grace of a good Samaritan passing by and the will to live. Thankfully, it wouldn't be long until things started to return to normal. Just 6 weeks after the attack, Peyton was allowed to go swimming again. Thousands of letters poured into her mailbox showing nothing but support as she recovered. By September, she had fully recovered and could once again attend school. Though her body had recovered, Peyton's mind still relived the horrors of that day constantly. She could no longer sleep alone and had to sleep with a pair of broken scissors under her pillow while her mother lay next to her. Even as she had to console her daughter every night, Stacy was just happy to have her daughter home alive, but she knew she had a long road ahead to truly return to normal. Her daughter had lost all trust in her friends and family, fearing they might attack.
She has friends, but initially, even with those friends, she kept them at arm's length. And for a long time, even trusting family members was hard for her.
As time went on, she grew more curious about her friends' motives and wasn't surprised when she learned that the girls wanted to appease Slenderman.
After I heard what she did, it was all well, this doesn't even surprise me at all because she believed so hard in this thing that she would do anything for it.
Most people were shocked to hear how forgiving Peyton was, especially after hearing how critical people were of Morgan's mother, Angie.
I've thought about what she's going through and how hard it must be for her, because I'm sure a lot of people are trashing on her and hating her and saying it was her fault. She raised Morgan wrong. It wasn't Angie's fault. Morgan's schizophrenic. There's nothing she could have done to stop that or control that. It was not her fault. God damn. Does this girl have angel wings? Good Lord.
Well,
what a I mean, my God.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is It is a very inspiring level of, forgiveness. Yeah.
Forgiveness and understanding at that age, after being that traumatized,
And the clarity that comes with it. Yeah.
And even facing her own demons of the trauma that gave her, she's still able to have the clarity to just be like, you know what, man, you'd like it's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's cool. Peyton's mother had bought into the hatred spewed at the Gazers for what their daughter did, but she too learned to forgive them.
I was angry for a long time, especially at Morgan's parents, knowing that Morgan's dad had schizophrenia for a long time. I thought that they were maybe just in denial and ignoring her symptoms, but I'm not angry anymore because I recognize that they're going through their own hell.
That's also a piece of clarity from the mother. There is suffering involved with them. Didn't it say that when she was a child, they had her tested and she had like schizophrenia-like symptoms? Like if she was little, think about the ghost biting her.
Yeah.
Since she was little, Morgan had experienced weird visual phenomenon. Yeah. As a toddler, she would approach her parents to tell them the ghosts would hug and bite her. Oh, a psychologist would later reveal she had vivid dreams in which she would change. Okay. So they didn't take her to get tested or something like that for a long time. The father had schizophrenia. And she said things that should have raised alarm, but were bypassed. Yeah, I see.
Right.
I see. The Gazers and Weir family endured widespread hate from random strangers nationwide. Their daughters had committed the unthinkable, and they had been ostracized from society. Even after Anissa came home in 2021, her father did their best to keep her at home and out of the public eye. To the public's surprise, Morgan in 2025 would also be set free from the mental institution and placed in a group home where she could be more independent. Once her friend Anissa was allowed to go home, Morgan began sending petitions to be released to a group home, which were rejected until a judge finally upheld her petition and agreed to send her to one. Wait, Morgan would be sent. Okay, Morgan started sending them after Anissa got released. I got it.
Yeah.
For months, Morgan's caretakers searched for a home that would take her, but nobody was willing. A group home in Milwaukee was initially considered for Morgan's placement, but the plan was quickly abandoned after officials realized it was only 8 miles from the Lutner family home.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, this stuff is so, I mean, this happens all the time when people get declared as like mentally incompetent or unwell, which obviously is justified the majority of the time, but sometimes it'll be a horrific case like this and they'll get sent, and then after 5 years it's like, you're doing better, kick them back out there. God. See how it goes. Now this case is different. They're not just releasing her, they're putting her in a group home, which is a bit less stringent, but man, yeah, but
still just 8. I mean, oh my God, I would fucking lose sleep over that.
The next place they looked was in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, where the presiding judge was optimistic, stating,
I don't see the risk to the public.
That's the exact voice you had. I can't remember the story, but when you're like, did I mention I'm a crippling alcoholic?
I don't see the risk to the public. Also, I forgot to tell you I'm blind.
I dared my best friend to ruin my life. That's it. Yeah. I don't see why not. Yeah. However, a city attorney from Sun Prairie was quick to reject this transfer and had her moved to another facility in Madison, believing she was still a threat to society. Citizens of the city were also worried about living in close proximity to Morgan out of fear that she would escape. I like how they're yes, I understand keeping her locked up and stuff like that, but the people in the town next to the facility, like she's the Joker in there.
I mean, at a certain point, it has to be a thing of being like, we don't want that near our families.
Look, I get it, but there's already a mentally unwell criminal facility there. It's like,
that's true. It's true. It's just this one has a more
reputation.
Notoriety.
Yeah.
So it's able, people that have the other mental facility, they're like, well, I don't know their story. They can like lie to themselves and be like, well, it's okay. Versus this is I don't want my kid getting stabbed 19 times.
Maybe they're all in there because they stole money to give to the homeless. It's like, yeah, sure, lady, whatever. It's a building full of Robin Hoods. That's what happens in the criminally insane building.
Building full of robbers.
I mean, whatever helps you sleep at night,
They're all
babe.
misunderstood.
Like, yeah, they're all heroes and they're all. I bet if you went in there, it'd be like the Green Mile, like 1,000 times in a row.
Yeah. Let John Coffey go.
Let John Coffey go. It's like 1,200 people were killed today.
God.
Morgan's attorney argued that the move was actually a good thing and would help her adjust to living in society again.
People should be aware of what is going on in their community, but people have been released somewhere. And so if you permit cities to object, then you'd have everybody objecting. And you'd never release people.
That sounds great. Can we do that?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, keep them in there.
So she's getting transferred to a home, right? Instead of the, like it's still a facility. Yeah. It's just not like
it's still going to be a facility.
Yeah.
But it's just way more. I don't think it's definitely not. I mean, it's not a group prison.
Home.
You know
it's
what I mean?
A group home. Yeah.
Yeah.
It turns out people were right to be afraid of Morgan moving into their neighborhood because 1 month after her release, she cut her ankle monitor and fled 170 miles south to Posen, Illinois, with 43-year-old Chad Mecca, whom she met at the group home.
My fucking God.
I mean, could you imagine all these people in town who are terrified of her getting out? And everyone's she's not going to get out.
Yeah. Well, I can't possibly see the right. I don't see the risk of that.
She's 170 miles
I'd be burning
away.
that motherfucker's house right there. We'd have a straight up pig roast with that motherfucker after that happened. Oh boy! Not 4 weeks into her being released,
immediately,
my God.
like comedic timing. Gets out, runs away. Oh, after removing her monitor, she simply walked out the front door and hopped on a Greyhound bus to Chicago.
She didn't even have to break a window.
No,
She cut it with a pair of children's safety scissors and walked out the goddamn front door.
All right,
Wow.
you can be trusted. Off you go. From there, they walked through Chicago to a Pace bus station and rode 20 miles to Posen. Police would find her at a truck stop, aided by numerous tips and surveillance footage across Chicago. When officers confronted her, she refused to identify herself and snipped at police, saying,
"Just Google me."
Police knew
That's her voice now.
Yeah. Police knew who both of them were, arrested them, and extradited them back to Wisconsin. Morgan was sent back to Winnebago Mental Health Institute, where she will reside for the remainder of her 40-year sentence.
Wow. So she had to go back to the original place.
Yes.
She obviously. Wow.
Well, I mean, they trust you in a group home, and you're out in 4 weeks. Like, no, you can't go back to one. Of course not.
Exactly. It just seems like it. God, it's. Man, sometimes the rehabilitation aspect, like she just putting on a show. She saw that Anissa was able to get out, and then someone told her, and she's just like, I should just put in for the same thing.
I think like the intention of these facilities is there are some people who are so unwell they cannot be trusted to interact with a society. But also because they're unwell, it's not their fault, and they shouldn't be punished for it in like a prison or execution or something like that. But if people, are to the degree that the rest of us are not safe if they're around, then that's what these facilities are. And she clearly seems like a case of that, because the moment she had any leeway, another guy was like, hey, cut your monitor and run. And they're like, yeah, of course. That makes sense to me. So all it takes is someone else to meet her and be like,
thank God.
Hey, attack someone else.
Thank God for the tips and the surveillance. And thank God that there was another cop there with the giant Blue's Clues notebook. Hey, do I think you are who you are?
You think
I don't know. Just Google me.
You think when she said that, he just pulled out a comedically large phone and started typing it? Like,
he had a giant old person phone. Looks like it's just huge buttons. He's like, well, hold on a second.
You have to tap through the numbers to get to the letters.
Yeah. Boop, boop. Yep.
Oh, I gotta go back now.
God dang it. Thanks, man. Got big fingers.
Oh. It's been 12 years since that fateful day. Payne graduated from high school in 2020 and wanted to pursue a medical degree inspired by the doctors who saved her life. She thanked Morgan for changing her life and turning her into the person she is today.
I would probably initially thank her,
Luner said to Muir.
I would say, just because of what she did, I have the life I have now. And I really, really like it. And I have a plan. I didn't have a plan when I was 12. But now I do because of everything that I went through. I wouldn't think that someone who went through what I did would ever say that. But that's truly how I feel about the whole situation. I wouldn't be who I am.
That is a girl who had such a horrific tragedy happen to her, but she has such a great perspective on where she is now that she doesn't hold
I'm telling you,
that's true forgiveness.
The world is going to be a better place with her in it, in that perspective.
Yeah, of course.
Whatever she does, she is going to impact people in such a positive way. God bless that child.
Yeah, I think being able to have that optimism afterwards is a very, very blessed thing. Very cool person. Worried that other young girls might face the same fate as her, Peyton urges parents to educate themselves and talk to their kids about the content they consume online. She also offered some wisdom to other children who may be stuck in toxic, manipulative friendships.
Get out before something bad happens to you. Even if you're guilted into it. If you've been friends with them for years, if you feel like something's bad, you need to get out while you still can. Preach!
She never would have suspected that her lifelong best friend would be the one to nearly take her life. Life can truly be fragile. The distance of one human hair would have changed this story and the lives of those in the town of Waukesha forever.
And that, my friends, as of today, is the story of the Slenderman stabbing. It is the anniversary. Cannot believe it's been 12 years. I feel like it's insane it's been that long now, but my God, I got to tell you, that is to end it on that quote from Peyton is so true. Toxic relationships, friendships even, is something that I feel like people get walked over all the time. It's crazy. And I think that like there's been so many cases, especially from online communities, that have transferred the things that they do online into actual, tangible, physical relationships. Like another example that's a great video online from Frederick Nunson is the Final Fantasy House. Have you heard that? That's another one where it's people online interactions. They have like, it's just a niche community. Those people meet up in real life, and then the toxic traits of that person completely consumes the other person. And like, it basically just ends in abuse. And in this case was almost murder. Is just insane. And that's the true fucking horror story of this. That's the true horror of this story is the kind of relationships you put yourself through, or the kind of things that you do that can result in actual physical altercations or even life and death scenarios. Pretty fucking crazy, man.
Yeah, I think it's tragic, but I do love the optimism that came out of it. And man, thank God she lived in many senses. But gosh, what a horrific,
unbelievable. It's amazing.
It is a miracle she lived, and I'm glad she did, of course. And also all the optimism she's able to have on the other side of it. But you see that a lot with like a lot of tragedies that happen. It's because someone had a friend who got them closer and closer to a spot that they should have come out of, but didn't. I mean, like the classic example, Columbine, right? Dylan and Eric. And then you have like, I mean, tragically, the shooting that happened just the other day at the mosque in California. Two friends that knew each other from school, and then they got into the 764, which, I mean, that group is responsible for, I don't know how many deaths at this point between mass shootings and stuff like that. But again, that entire group operates on getting people to be your friend, inducting them, blackmailing them, stuff like that. So I don't know. At some point, I understand that relationships can be hard to break off, and you can't have dependence on people, but that doesn't object you from any of the wrong you do with them. So
yeah, it's a slippery slope, man. And I think it all starts with self-love. It starts with knowing how you should be treated by people. And as long as you have that, and also too, just know that like, man, there's better people out there. And also too, I mean, this is a huge case for unchecked mental illness. And I mean, like, it's just, this is such a crazy, what a crazy storm that results in this. It's like fucking getting struck by lightning or something. It's just like the perfect storm that hit this, you know what I mean? It could have happened to anybody, but it happened to this girl. And then it got swept in with everything else. It's just, such a wild story. And I don't know. I mean, like, we were talking about this. It was the anniversary of the stabbing, and it was just such a crazy thing. And we had just recently, within the past, like however many months, just finished the Marble Hornet series as well. I remember we were just talking about it and we figured that we would try to do this format. I know it's a little new. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought that it was a fun way to kind of tell the story in a way that still lets you narrate, and we can kind of use these quotations and stuff for the normal things that we do. Also, what we'll do as well for all the documentation and stuff of the story, we'll be sure to put our links and sources below in the description. And just want to thank our researchers and stuff for writing up this document, because it was very informative and just eye-opening. I mean, gut-wrenching at times too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. We appreciate you. If you are listening on the audio platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts, anywhere you can listen to podcasts, be sure to give us a nice rating if you enjoyed the episode. And also to our beautiful patrons who just got some more episodes this week. We just read one that was really funny. I think it was a good story. You have to be there to listen to it, but yeah, it was a bit of a recording, but it was a fun one. So thank you to the patrons who help the content and also get a little extra on the side. We appreciate you. Until next time, guys, stay creeped.
I feel like this is too serious to have a funny final line with. So what he said, stay creeped or whatever. Bye.
You